and Mr. Ali Asgar Kalkatawala, founder, Saif Automobiles. I welcome all of you onto the dais. So, continue our program. We would like to request Mr. H. Purushottam, our IPR chair, to felicitate our registrar, Professor Stephene Garo.
Madam, please. Okay.
ఎందుకండి yeah, you do it to our guest.
And to Miss Juliana Casavan.
Yeah. Thank you so much for taking time. This is the tradition of doing to our guests.
Sir, please. Sir, please. Sir, please.
Ravina.
Sir.
Yeah.
Yes. Thanks. Thank you, sir.
నేను ఇచ్చేస్తాను సార్ ఓకే థ్యాంక్ యూ నాకు చెప్పారు నేను మీకు ఇస్తాను
Thank you, sir. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
To Mr. Ali Asgar Kalkatawala.
No,
yes, he's doing a great job.
I like the name.
Successful NRI returned to India with a passion to serve the nation.
Now I would like to request Professor H. Purushottam to deliver a welcome address.
Distinguished Chief Guest of today's function, Professor James Stephene, the Registrar of Andhra University, and the Guest of Honor, Ms. Juliana Casavan, the Entrepreneurship Program Consultant from Purdue University, our esteemed resource personnel of the Faculty Development Program, Madam Shobhashri Garu and Professor Balli Kumar Garu and other senior faculty members from Andhra University, and all the research scholars, faculty members, and startups particularly from the Andhra University, for whom this program was exclusively designed for them. A very good morning to all of you, and I extend my warm welcome to all of you for this one-day faculty development program on behalf of the organizers. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my proud privilege to welcome the chief guest of today's function, Professor M. James Stephene. Is one of the very dynamic, young, charismatic registrar of Andhra University, and he has been a great support and implementing, the vision of the Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor P.V.G.D. Prasad Reddy in achieving its objectives and goals of this university. Unfortunately, Prasad Reddy was supposed to be here, but he had been called by the Honorable Chief Minister. He had to rush there, and we are missing his presence very much here. Whatever is happening today in this campus, it is all because of his dynamic leadership and vision. And in fact, the event what we are organizing today in collaboration with Purdue University is also a testament for his great vision. You all know, most of you are aware, the kind of developments the university happening, You are all aware that recently the Andhra University got a NAC grade of A++, which is almost 3 times jump over its previous grade of A grade, And it got the highest score of 3.74 out of 4. So that shows that the faculty members, the research scholars, the leadership, for their commitment to excel in the field of education. In fact, there are 3 universities in the country. We have got this kind of a highest NAC grading. We are one of them. And in fact, Andhra University is competing with prestigious national institutes like IITs and IIMs under the leadership of Professor Prasad Reddy Garu, supported by all the principals, faculty members, and the registrar, and of course the students and the research scholars. Our Honorable Vice Chancellor always emphasizes that we are all here because of the students. So always is a student's Vice Chancellor and a people's Vice Chancellor, and has got a great vision, and for which he is working day and night. I don't have any doubts in my mind that under his leadership in his second tenure as Vice Chancellor of this university, the university will be definitely pushed to the next orbit of growth, which will be a landmark in its 100 years of history, which we are going to celebrate next year onwards. I also cordially welcome Ms. Juliana Casavan from Purdue University, USA, for accepting our invitation and agreeing to deliver a keynote address in this FDP. I urge all the participants to stay back and listen to the Purdue University experiences and the US perspectives in the area of intellectual property rights, innovation, entrepreneurship, startups. You all know that Purdue University is one of the top universities, top 10 universities in the US, and we are grateful to the management of Purdue University for deputing her to interact with us and see how best the capacity building can take place in the University of Andhra University and this adjoining ecosystems. Ma'am, we are thankful for your presence, providing us with the stimulus and an opportunity to learn the best practices from Purdue University and the United States perspective on IP, innovation, entrepreneurship, and startups, which are very close to your heart. Lastly, I sincerely welcome one of our resource persons, Mr. Ali Asgar, Calcutta Wala, who has got a tremendous capacities and capabilities as an entrepreneur. He had his higher education in Germany. I met him first time when a Maker's Lab an event was organized in Visakhapatnam. That time I was the chairman and managing director of National Research Development Corporation. He was demonstrating his products to all the participants. The first question I asked him was that, did you protect your IP? If you exhibit like this, somebody may copy your IP and you may be left out in this game of innovation entrepreneurship. And immediately he has approached NRDC and we helped him to file and secure the IP rights. And subsequently there was also an infringement suit on him by some foreign company saying that you have copied our IP. But we know he has not copied. We defended him. We have presented our case before the Indian Patent Office. We have overruled that objection raised by some of the entrepreneurs in that field. He is one of the leading startup company in Andhra Pradesh. Recently, a week back, he got an award from the Startup India Mission as one of the best startup company in Andhra Pradesh. He is being incubated in the AP Innovation Society of Andhra Pradesh. Today's program will be a one-day FDP on the role of IPR in academia and startups. In high-density knowledge capsule form, we have brought this program for the benefit of research scholars, faculty and startups, allowing you to grasp the basic concepts and the importance of IPR in academia and startups through numerous case studies and experiences. We have 6 talks planned from exceptionally experienced resource personnel on the subject from the government and industry. I am confident that you will all leave today's FDP with a significant value addition to your existing knowledge on role of IPR in academia and startups. Thank you all once again. Jai Hind. Thank you very much.
Now I would like to request Professor James Stephene to deliver his address here.
Respected dignitaries on the dais, Professor H. Garu, a man of vision and passion. You know, he brought a new legacy to Andhra University with the IPH. It is in fact the nodal center, nodal office even for the entire state, not just for this university. And our guest from Purdue, I have a lot of good memories there. In 2022 August, I have visited the campus and I really appreciate your efforts. You have come all the way and being part of these programs. And Kalkatawala, I'm so privileged to listen to your story and my very good friend Mr. Ravi and this AHAB, the startup ecosystem. Certainly, these are the new buzzwords in this campus. Yes, this campus has 100 years old history, and especially this intellectual property rights and the startup ecosystem. These are the things we have been listening for the last 4.5 years. And now we came to a state that, other universities are looking at us, and it's such a good moment to cherish. I was told that this program would begin 9:30 sharp, but I always understand we follow IST, not the standard time, but we call it Indian stretchable time. We stretch a bit, and we love to do that. And I was also amazed to look at the participants. I was told yesterday that there are 174 registrations, so that proves we are very strong on paper, right? But sometimes when it comes to reality, right? But you are so privileged. I always love the word, many are called but few are chosen. Right? So you are the chosen group. Had I not been in administration, I would like to spend the whole day in this faculty development program. Because these are the important occasions where we can enhance our knowledge. Sometimes we feel when we do some research, when we get a patent, grant, things like that, oh, we achieved a lot. A long time back, I read a quotation. The author is unknown, otherwise the man who quoted that is not known. But it says like this: the more you learn, the less you know. I didn't understand for a long time. when I learn more, certainly I would know more, right? But it says, more you learn, less you know. Yesterday I was actually addressing a gathering like this, the valedictory of today's workshop on chromosomal disorder, Department of Human Genetics. And some of the terminologies which I never heard in my lifetime. The knowledge is a big ocean. When I realized chromosome, at least I heard the term when I was in the school. Then I understand and I apply this to myself like this. When I was in the school, I studied social sciences, physical sciences, maths, physics and all that stuff. When I started doing my graduation, confined to few subjects, maths, physics, then some computers. Then masters only computers. Then PhD only a chapter. Now working deep into only a topic. So the more you learn, less you know. Then I understand, yes, as I progress, as there are a lot of things to learn. And this particular topic today, the faculty development program, IP and startup, so important. Some time back I realized that it's very important to protect the intellectual property. When we buy something, if I buy a land, the first advice which we get is put a compound and protect it. But even intellectual property needs to be protected. And thank you so much, and I appreciate all the efforts of Purushottam. When I look at him, I always see an young man within him. He comes to the office with a lot of papers. Late at evening, 7 o'clock, sometimes even late. His enthusiasm to do something. And this campus is so blessed to have people like him. And Ravi, you can always see, yesterday the ministers were talking about that. We want to visit that startup ecosystem, that startup building AHAB once, and we invited them. Probably very soon they would visit. This is a new culture that is happening in this campus, especially Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor P.V. Prasad. A lot is said about him by the President of the program today, Purushottam Garu. Always strives hard to drive the vision. That is very important. Right? What we do out of the classroom and out of the box thinking, that is the need of the hour. And this particular generation, the needs of this generation, we must go beyond the classroom. So I really appreciate AHAB and IPF for organizing this wonderful faculty development program, and I'm pretty sure that all of the attendees would get benefited. Once again, thank you, Juliana, for taking time, and all the resource persons and their discussions. I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think you can give me a time. We can upload. Yeah, please. Certainly, they will be great. Right? We can proceed with it. Nice, sir. Thank you. Oh, you want this? You want your presentation up there?
Sorry about that. Thank you all for being here. I am very honored to be here and appreciate you all taking time out of your day to join us for this presentation and for the faculty development program. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself first so that you have an idea of kind of the work that I've done historically in my employment at Purdue. And then I'll share information about Purdue's methodologies for protecting intellectual property and their relationship with faculty in protecting the IP. Just to give you a little bit of background, I worked with Purdue University, at Purdue University for 12 years. I was coaching the faculty that were commercializing their technology and wanting to have startups. So I joined Purdue in 2007, and then in 2013 we had a new president join us. His name was Mitch Daniels. He was actually previously the governor of our state before becoming the president of Purdue. And he had a position of believing that entrepreneurship and commercialization was the future of higher education and a major component of the faculty's responsibility and a way to advance the mission of the university. So at that time, we started the Purdue Foundry, which was the organization that worked with the faculty to commercialize that technology and help them develop their startup companies. So I was one of the co-founders of that organization. When we initially started, there were 5 of us that moved over to a different building, and in about a week's time from him telling us we're doing this, we moved in about a week, and we were starting. So it was a very quick process, and things have continued to move very quickly since then. During my time at Purdue, of the 12 years, I coached over 500 teams that were working on startup ideas. And this was anything from students with ideas that were interested in developing them, all the way through faculty commercializing and developing their technologies into startup companies. Since then, I have lost track, but the companies that I have worked with that have been successful have raised over $100 million in angel investment and venture capital, and 3 of them have actually become publicly traded companies since. Along with my time at Purdue, there we go. I also worked with an organization, and I still do for 6 years. I consult with academic research projects, specifically in software and cybersecurity, through an organization called Science Gateway Community Institute. And it's a National Science Foundation funded organization. We initially had a 5-year grant. They gave us a 2-year extension, and now we have actually converted into a center of excellence, primarily focused still on science gateways. You might consider them to be like an e-gateway or an e-portal, access to high-powered computing and software analysis and researching tools. And so we are continuing to move forward with that program as a center of excellence, and we have another 3-year funding from the National Science Foundation, and we're hoping for a 2-year extension to go along with that. So in that time, I was able to partner with the University of California, San Diego, and their supercomputing center, and continued to advance programs helping faculty not just think about startup companies and commercializing technology, but also thinking about their technology in a more sustainable way. So even if they weren't going to be selling their technology, how could they maintain it without relying on government funding or grant funding from other foundations and institutions? So what I do now is I am a consultant and still consulting with Purdue University and these other organizations. I also work with small startups. I coach startups still, and then I develop program strategy for places like acceleration programs and incubators. If you're familiar with startup incubators and startup accelerator programs, and I consult with them on program strategy and development. That is enough about me. So let's talk a little bit more about Purdue and the changes that have happened there in the past decade. So this is just some data that has happened in the year 2023. So Purdue received number 4 in U.S. for patents and has been top 10 universities in the U.S. in the past 3 years. For the past 3 years. And that number has continued to remain consistent throughout the 10 years. So you can see here there is about 400 invention disclosures that happen each year in 2023, and it kind of hangs around that number typically. Now, the patent disclosure process is really just filing that abstract with the Office of Technology Commercialization, here it would be IPR, and letting them know that you have this technology and you believe it to be protectable. From that, they have actually seen 262 patents issued after actually going through the filing process. From there, 150 of those technologies have been licensed to startup companies, to industry, and to the faculty themselves, and I'll explain that a little bit more. Overall, on an annual basis, there's around, in 2023, there were 20 Purdue startups that were based on their own intellectual property that they were developing. And you can see there's some statistics from the last decade of what those disclosures and startup processes have looked like. So not only is Purdue very highly ranked in patents overall, number 3 also in the country in startup creation based on university intellectual property. So let me see here. I want to show you what that actually kind of looks like here. So this is what it looks like in the past, 10 years, 9 years of data here. So in 2014 is when we first started with the Purdue Foundry, and you can see over time with that priority and focus on tech commercialization within the institution, there was a large increase in disclosures and patent filings and patent recipients. And that was the intended outcome, right? That was the goal that we were trying to accomplish, and so we're pretty proud that we were actually able to do that. But this wasn't, it wasn't kind of an easy or natural process. Faculty were relatively resistant to this kind of process. They did like to file patents. They liked to disclose their technologies for the most part. But the concept of actually then taking that technology and starting a company wasn't at the forefront of their mind. So it was the responsibility of the university in wanting those outcomes to figure out how to make it a major priority for the faculty to actually do that. So you can see the scale here as far as the number of patents filed. So at Purdue there are 2,000 faculty members, and most of them are research faculty across 11 colleges, and there are 400 research labs. So you can see the scale of what the intellectual property disclosures and patent filing looks like in comparison to the size of the institution. Purdue also has, between the undergraduate and graduate programs, there's about 60,000 students. So it is a very large institution and requires a large faculty. So what we did in starting the Foundry was the goal was to increase the commercialization process of the technology. So more patents and then more opportunities to actually commercialize and start companies based on that intellectual property. Like I said, though, this wasn't something that was naturally in the process for faculty or something that they were thinking about. In the US, we have a tenure track process, and that is the primary focus of faculty. I'm sure you all are thinking the same way. Publications, right? Citations, and making sure that you're protecting and putting your information and your research out that way. And so the tenure and promotion process at Purdue did not include anything about commercialization or startup activity. So the institution wasn't incentivizing the faculty to actually take that extra step. Because if you're working towards tenure and that doesn't indicate whether or not you will receive tenure, it wasn't a priority for them to focus on. So one of the first things that we worked through was figuring out how we could include commercialization and startup activity as part of the tenure and promotion process. So when faculty were spending time on startups, they were being credited for that time in their promotion in their career. So this was something that we observed at other major institutions across the country that are well known for startup companies. So Stanford, MIT, Boston College, Georgia Tech, these are all institutions that regularly use this practice of providing tenure and promotion through commercialization and startups. So when you go to an institution like Stanford, the expectation is that you will commercialize technology and have startup companies. Not that it's an option. It is very much ingrained in the culture of their institution. And so Purdue was trying to capture some of that motivation as well and incentivize the faculty to do so. So we were able to get more into the tenure and promotion process. I will say not successfully completed that process quite yet, but faculty do become credited in their promotion by starting companies and commercializing their technologies. And from that, we were able to see great gains in their interest. The other piece that we've seen over the decade is that it also appealed to faculty that would not have looked at Purdue as their future home. So once we instituted this idea of entrepreneurship and commercialization, we had more faculty interested in working at the university that had that frame of mind, that were interested in commercializing technologies and having startup companies. So the people who were actually applying to research at the institution, their makeup was starting to change and look different than it had before. So we've been able to see some changes there. So to give you an idea of what the process looks like, you can see it here. It starts up at the top with the researching the innovation. So in the patenting process for the university, it starts there. So once a researcher has an idea or something that they believe is patentable or protectable in some kind of way, they would then take that to the disclosure process, where they would work with the Office of Technology and Commercialization to actually go through the filing process in creating a patent. So the great thing about this is that it really removed a lot of barriers that were there. There is an entire office at Purdue that is about probably 20 or 30 staff that go through the process of helping the faculty disclose that technology and then going through the patent search process to see if that technology already exists or if there's similar IP already out there, and then validating that, yes, this is something that can be protected. And then they actually go through that filing process with them. So each faculty that is trying to patent is given a manager, an IP manager, who helps them through that process, through the filing process and working with the US government to be able to protect their intellectual property. So after they actually disclose that technology, they go through this evaluation process and they say yes or no, this can be protected, and now we can move to the next step of actually protecting it. So they file the provisional patents for the faculty, in partnership with the faculty. Obviously, the faculty have to write the documents about their technology and describing that technology, but they help them with the format and the actual filing process and the following up and more of the logistics around that to take that burden off of the faculty, and the faculty can then continue to work on and focus on the commercialization and their own research. So once we get to the patent process, there's a couple of different options there. There's patenting, trademarking, which is protecting more of a name or a logo or an asset in that kind of way, and then copywriting or trade secrets. So they identify what can happen there, and then they decide what is the best methodology for protecting any particular technology, and they do the filing. So this also includes software code, which was a new development in the US as well. Historically, software code, algorithms, things like that have not been protectable, but the US Patent Office, as well as institutions across the US, have worked towards a process where they are actually now able to copyright those algorithms and that code to be able to protect that as well. So there can't be that kind of reverse engineering that's happening on software code, and they're able to protect that. The next big step that we're seeing is going to be protecting data sets. So data sets are typically something that it isn't really protectable. They can be cited, and you can share them with other folks, and you hope that they give you that citation. But historically, there hasn't been requirements of citing or commercializing and protecting any particular data set. So once they go through the patent process, the next piece is then going to market. So at Purdue and most major universities across the country, the faculty obviously has the option to be able to commercialize that technology themselves. The thing that I have learned, we learned the other day, is different in the United States, is that at the institution wholly owns the intellectual property that the faculty creates. So it is not the faculty's intellectual property, it is the institution's intellectual property, and the faculty are listed as inventors of that technology. And they can benefit from that and benefit from the system of if the technology is licensed to an outside company, that faculty still gains benefits, and I'll show you what that looks like if that were the case. But if the faculty would like to be the one commercializing it, they have first right to that technology, and they are able to license it directly from the institution to start their own company. So with that, we were, again, able to see kind of removing these barriers and this friction that was there for the faculty and these extra chores of logistics and management of intellectual property. We were able to see some great gains in the way that faculty were actually disclosing and filing those patents. So then we go to, obviously, filing the license. You get the license back as a startup company. You would license that technology from the institution. And then we get to the impact piece of it. So in the impact piece of it, what we do at Purdue, and this is kind of a nationwide standard. So if the faculty commercializes the technology and they start a company with it, once they start gaining revenue, the agreement is that they will give 3 to 5% of that revenue back to the institution. So it's a royalty fee that the startup company pays to the institution as the holder of the intellectual property. And that money, yeah.
Can I or should we wait there?
Can you what?
Ask questions now or wait?
Whichever you would like to do.
3 to 5% on what? Is it the sale, product sale value?
On
the
revenue. Revenue from the particular commercialized technology.
Okay. And who audits that? Because it can be under-quoted, over-quoted, or under-quoted.
Right, yeah. So I'm sure there's all kinds of things happening there, right? The idea, though, is that they would share their financial information and be honest about that. There are some checks and balances that can be done, but not completely.
Okay. This also brings to another question which some faculty have is while you are teaching, full-time teaching, what do you call it, faculty in the institution, can you also be a director / owner, co-founder of a startup, and you can do these both in parallel? Is it allowed at Purdue?
Yes. Yeah, so that was part of it, absolutely. So how it works is that faculty, if you are a full faculty member, so if you're an associate level, an assistant up to full professor, 20% of your time can be spent on outside projects. What they would like that outside project to be is a startup company. Okay. So that's kind of how they incentivize and motivate. So they're saying 20% of your time as a faculty member can be spent on that outside project.
But you can be a full-time co-founder of a company while you're also full-time faculty member of.
Yes. And there have always been conflict of interest questions and what does that look like, but for the most part, we find that, things, they're pretty good stewards of it, right? Yeah, they recognize the responsibility of both. Yeah. So in the royalty process, there's the 3 to 5% of the revenue from the patent license that would come back to the institution. Now that money then, so we're looking at, let's say the company has 100% of the revenue. They're giving 3 to 5% of it back to the institution. And then that 3 to 5% is being split into thirds. So a third of it goes back to the inventor. So as the faculty that created the technology, you are also getting a part of that royalty back as an individual, not as the owner of the company. A third of it is going to the department from which that faculty comes from. So whichever department was the one to actually disclose and file that patent. So they receive some of those funds. And then a third of it goes into what we call a TRASC fund. And I would love to tell you what that acronym stands for, but I don't know exactly. It's technology, research, and innovation. There's all kinds of the acronyms out there in academia, right? Now, with that money, you can see here, so over $2.7 million has been invested back into 70 technologies in the past 10 years. So this is actually an award that is given to faculty. You can apply for the Trask Fund as a faculty to continue developing your technology. So this looks like a grant, essentially, from the institution for faculty to continue working on their intellectual property. So there's an incentive there for them to also be working on that to receive those types of funds. But that helps support kind of this continuing development of technology and commercialization process within the institution.
This is a very good practice.
Yeah.
Here, I think it's 30-70%. 70% goes to the individuals and 30% with the university. 40-60. Okay.
40-60?
Sorry, guys,
So it's 40-60 here?
40-60, 40 to the inventor and 60% to the university.
Uh-huh.
Is the other way? 60% to the university.
No, it's a 30-70.
30-70, right?
Is on the overall funding, but once the
Right.
expenses are all done, just the remuneration part, it is 60.
60 to the university. To the individual, right? Okay.
Okay,
So this is more like if the individual is not starting up, but the patent is licensed to a third party,
yes.
then you are likely to get about 1 to 1.5% of the revenue as an inventor. But the good thing is here it's not going back to the university, it's going to the specific department, right?
Yes.
For their own fund, and then it's okay. Then 1/3 goes to TDR hub, I don't know, hub or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, and
Yes.
that's who runs the Trask Fund is run by the Technology Commercialization Office and the Startup Office.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, so they're the ones who are actually providing those funds and deciding who receives those funds ultimately. And so there is, by having this third that also goes back to the department, it really incentivizes department heads to encourage their faculty and give them the time and space to be able to work on these startup companies, right? So there are some incentives kind of going to each party to help everyone, you know, kind of grease the wheels and get the process going. Yeah. Okay, so just to kind of reiterate what some of those benefits are, and I won't say that there aren't challenges, because there absolutely are. We're still asking a lot of faculty members in that process, but we believe that there's lots of gains for the faculty themselves, for the students that participate in those processes. Many times what we see is that it's a faculty member and their graduate student who start the company and become co-founders and move that company forward together. And then typically the graduate student becomes the primary principal on the startup company, and the faculty has the ability to be a scientific, you know, advisor, director, still benefit from being part of that company, but they can get back to their research and start innovating in new ways, right? Because we want the faculty to obviously continue innovating and finding new discoveries. So some of those benefits are that made it easier for faculty to go through this process is the assistance that they get in the patent search and establishing the correct type of property that it is in the filing process. Another part of this is that all of the filing fees are paid by the institution on behalf of the faculty member in that process. So when it's very expensive in the U.S. to file a patent, somewhere between $30,000 and $200,000, kind of depending on what the technology looks like and how complex the process is. So every single time that they're filing a patent, there is this large expense that is upfront paid by the institution. I loved the comments earlier about defending the intellectual property, because this is a huge part of it. Patents and intellectual property are only as good as your ability to defend them. And so what the Office of Technology Commercialization does is they actually defend the technology and the patent on behalf of the faculty. So if there is infringement that is happening, the lawyers at the university go to bat for the faculty and actually defend that technology in the courtroom. The last piece is the external licensing option that is marketed by the institution as well. So if a faculty doesn't want to commercialize their technology, but they do want to license it to outside companies and see it get into industry and still benefit by getting that piece of the royalty money back to themselves and their department, the institution markets those technologies and, you know, shows them around. They go on showcases to large corporations and organizations to show what licenses are available, and they try and license those to the corporations on behalf of the faculty member. So there are some really great benefits, challenges, and time-consuming processes, costs that are taken off of the faculty member and put onto the institution. Yeah?
Okay. Two options of faculty starting up and then giving it out as licensing out the patent. And the third option is a technology transfer where...
I must have done.
Okay,
Yeah, go ahead.
It's locked?
No, I think I got it. No, it's in it.
It's locked. So the third option is the complete patent being sold to a third party, technology transfer.
Yes.
So in that scenario, how would the faculty benefit? Because it's a one-time sale and you can't be getting perpetual income.
Oh, they never sell the technology.
You know.
It is only licensing.
Oh, so no technology transfer at all.
No. No, well, they will only license the technology to outside companies. They will never sell the patents. So the institution will always maintain those patents. And even if Caterpillar or, Monsanto or whoever comes calling and wants to license that technology, Purdue will maintain that patent.
The ownership is always...
The ownership will always remain with the institution. Very, very rarely is there ever a case of a sale of the technology. So that benefits the institution, because if someone like Caterpillar or Monsanto or some if Infosys comes around and they license that technology and they make billions of dollars off of it, 3 to 5% is coming back to the institution, right, and being split. So you see the benefits that actually come after that. So they almost never sell.
And how about if the faculty retires?
If the faculty retires, it's in perpetuity. So even once you retire, you will still receive those royalty checks back from the institution after you're done with your tenure.
So if the faculty moves from Purdue University to Stanford University, or
Yep.
how does it happen?
It still remains the same. So that is even though the university owns the patent, the faculty member is still listed as the inventor and will always receive that royalty back. Yes. Yeah, good question.
And he gives an undertaking that he will support the university in transferring the technology.
Transferring the technology, it's already in the name of Purdue.
Purdue, but you see, the knowledge transfer has to take place. The university doesn't allow them to claim to hold the knowledge. Because we have minds of the people who invented them. So the inventor moves from that place to another place, so he has to come back and help the university. That's one of the conditions.
Yes, a lot of times we do see they take on an advisor role. They work with the institute or the corporation that might license that technology to help them advance it. Yeah, yeah, we've seen great partnerships of faculty members with corporations actually, because they like their technology, they like what they're developing, and so they will actually start to do something that we call sponsored research or work for hire, research for hire, and so that is actually a case in which Purdue does not own the intellectual property. So once a corporation comes in and they say, we want to sponsor this research to be done at your institution, the corporation is the owner of that technology. So that's typically, though, in a partnership is what we see, right? They wanna have faculty research a certain molecule or look at a certain genome or develop a chemical compound. They're looking for a very specific outcome, as opposed to technologies that are already patented and existing.
So the process then is again taken care of by your university.
Yes. Yep.
But the patent belongs to
The corporation. Yep. Yeah. So the corporation would be, and again, the faculty would be listed as an inventor, but the corporation would be the whole owner of that
How about
technology.
your university's stake?
Commercially, what is it for the university?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Commercially, what is it for the university, right?
Oh,
Then
when it's a corporate structure like that. So typically, it's the funds that they paid for the sponsored research. So the overhead is still being paid to the institution. They're covering faculty time and faculty salary to be able to do that. They're probably paying for the lab equipment if there's something that needs to be purchased there. So they are paying for that research to be done instead of having it done in their own lab at their corporation.
As Juliana said, many times the universities, they do not want to give the ownership, though even if it is sponsored by the industry. So they give all the rights, even the exclusive rights they give for its commercialization. But generally, all the top class universities, they don't leave the ownership even to the private sector.
That's right. In India, I think university should be part of it.
Yeah.
Even if corporate is
University takes the
some state.
Because many of the top class universities, they do that way. The ownership, they never leave it to anyone. They own the technology, they give the license.
Yes. I think there was a question back here.
How do you make sure research is not from pre-existing Purdue intellectual property?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
How do you make sure the research that has been done is not from pre-existing Purdue intellectual property?
Yeah, IP search.
I'm sorry.
So if it's already patented
Uh-huh.
and if somebody is coming up with the same kind of a technology, how does Purdue University know is what it is asking.
How do they know?
which
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I got you now. Okay, so how does Purdue know that there's someone infringing on that technology? So this is,
No, there's a point over there, the first point you were mentioning the pre-existing Purdue IP. So how do you make sure of that they're not using it?
Is there any checks and balance?
yeah. You know, that one again is a little bit more difficult to actually keep a thumb on, right? And make sure that people are using the patent or that they're using intellectual property that they own or they actually have access to. But there is a process, so if it is an outside activity, one of the big things that happened when we first started the Foundry was we heard from all of the students, especially undergraduate students, like, I'm not going to tell you about what I'm doing because you're going to take it from me, you know, was really the concern of undergraduate students and graduate students alike. And so we created a policy and made it very, very clear and did lots of marketing around it to make it clear to students that if it was something that they were developing in their dorm room, in their apartment, outside of their resources that they were provided at the institution, or if it was something that came out of a class project that they wanted to continue developing, that they were the owners of that and not the institution. So the only people that they were able to, that they actually say it is absolutely ours, is in the case of faculty and faculty researchers and graduate students, because they are providing the resources, the labs, the buildings, the materials, all of these kinds of things, the infrastructure for the faculty and researchers to be able to develop that technology. But the students, undergraduate students, own their own intellectual property unless they were provided resources above and beyond their standard student experience at the university. So if they were given access to a lab that maybe they wouldn't have had access to otherwise, then that would be intellectual property of the university. But if it was something that they were doing on their own laptop in their dorm room on their own time, that's theirs.
okay,
Thank you.
Yeah.
This one question, because when I was in Purdue, I had one person. We were talking to a few of this Indian.
Oh, yeah.
Indians were there in the program, and one of these guys wanted to start up. The challenge was, the challenge was, this guy is still not an US citizen, he's not even on a green card stuff, so he's just come in and he's on a F1 visa. So he's not allowed to start a company on his own because he's still not a citizen of the country. Yeah, or he has to have somebody that he has trusted who is a localite and then start up something and not own it still until he becomes a citizen. So, are there any related restrictions? Because then I helped him connect with IIT Bombay, and there was somebody who's doing a similar stuff, and he set up his company in India and he's now operating.
Oh, that's great.
So
Yeah.
I helped him that way.
Yeah.
I know I could have taken it to University, but he was somebody who was working in the same area, and I helped him connect with that startup in India, and now they co-founded it, and then they are running it, and he's running it out of India. But when it comes to the patent, would there be certain restrictions with not being a citizen and other stuff? You still can co-own a patent along with Purdue as still not a citizen, an immigrant?
Yes, so you can be listed as an inventor on that patent. You can own a patent. You can hold a patent in the U.S. Without being a citizen. What you can't do is commercialize it.
Yeah.
And that's where the challenge comes. And so what we actually did there was we hired attorneys that were well versed in immigration law, and we started a J1 visa program. So what we were doing was, if a student was very serious about wanting to start the company after they completed their education, we would have them move to their OPT time, which was, their option time up to 36 months. And then we would help them file a J1 visa to be able to actually start and own that company in the United States themselves. Because that was absolutely a huge problem to overcome. Purdue has a very large international population, and so it was important for us to figure out how to overcome that, because there were a bunch of students saying, I can't do anything with this, right? I can't do anything with this here, and so, what's the point of me, trying to pursue these ideas? And so we had to remove that barrier as well. There's limits on how many J1 visas you can give, and there's other challenges with that, but, that was part of what we really tried to work towards.
You mean to say that if someone has got J1 visa, so they can start to stand up company?
On a J1 visa,
Oh.
yes, yep. So on a J1 visa in the U.S., you can start and own a company in the United States. So what the J1 visa says is that you have financial means to support yourself, and you aren't requiring a sponsor to be able to support you in the United States. And so I think it's 3 years. You get 3 years on a J1 visa before your company has to start paying you. So you have about 3-year runway on the J1 visa before
It's just the
that would run.
alternate to the OPT.
Yeah.
What
Yep.
about the H1B?
Huh?
H1B, some people get, instead of getting J1, some people get H1B. Is that still
H1B is for the work permit. Are you working for somebody?
postgraduate and postgraduate students get J1 and H1B, both they get?
No, they're not the same. J1 is
I'm not saying they're same, I'm saying H1B can do the same.
Yeah, so H1B you cannot own or start a company under an H1B because you are being sponsored by an employer,
Yes.
and they would own any technology typically that you develop. Yeah, so you can't do commercialization or own a company if you're on a work visa.
Yeah, even H1B, if I contracted and I want to Purdue and I'm working there, I can't go to another this thing. I have to completely change my H1B to the new employer. So it's completely, H1B is employer dependent. J1 is basically you're doing something self and you're generating your own employment, and then after 3 years first is self-sustainability, and after that you are part of the company and you are, and then after 3 years I think you have I think about 10 people employment, $1 million of turnover, something. There are
Yeah,
certain conditions.
there's minimum requirements that have to be in place at that point.
In the
Yeah.
previous example, actually patent belongs to the university, right, in the USA. So how come he is able to start up a company in India?
Oh, because he licensed that technology. I'm assuming
Yeah.
he licensed the technology from the institution.
Yeah.
Was it institution technology?
Correct, but he didn't go for the patent at all, and then he said, okay, let me stop here because that's becoming more complex for me to operate in the US. So he didn't. He did everything in India along with the guy in India, and
But as per the university IT policy, he has
no. As she was saying, undergraduates and others, whatever they do outside of the college, it's not you don't need to be part of them. If you're a faculty, yes, there's a mandate. But if you're an UG or a graduate there, you're not mandated to go through this thing. If you're doing something outside the university, you can still have your own patents wherever you would want to and all that stuff.
patent, yeah, he can file the patent in US also, because patent gives as per the Paris Convention, national treatment and right to priority and independence of the patent will be there. So he can protect there and here as well.
Yes.
He can commercialize.
Yeah, so there is a national home. So even if you file a patent in the U.S. and you were to protect it here in India, the home of the patent would still be in the U.S. So it would be, owned in that way. So it would just depend on where you originally filed the patent, because you have to file an initial patent before you can receive any kind of global protection. So, great
The
question.
individual can still go. The student can do his own patent filing without the support, financial support. right?
Absolutely, yes. The hard part is being able to afford it, right?
Yeah,
That's the difficulty, right? Like that's one of the major barriers for students to be able to do that. Yep. So let's see. I just had one other thing that I wanted to show, so you can just kind of see on a national scale what this actually looks like. So there's a great organization called Autumn. It's Association of University Technology Managers, and this is an association that the commercialization offices are often a part of to kind of receive best practices across the country. And we can see, there's great outcomes that come from the U.S. and globally we benefit from by faculty actually disclosing and patenting and commercializing their technologies. So the things that I like to focus on is that because of university-driven technologies in the U.S., it's increased, or it's contributed $1 trillion to the U.S. GDP, just from university commercialization alone, creating 6,500,000 jobs in the United States. And one that I find to be particularly interesting is over 200 drugs and vaccines have been developed through university technologies as well. So there's great benefit to all of us in this process and what it does for each individual nation, but on a global scale, the type of technological advancements that it ultimately brings to us, right? Faculty are at the forefront. You know, I mean, you are so beyond where corporations are in their technology development and research, right? Because they're looking for short-term gains for corporations in their technology development. Faculty, you're looking for answers, right? You want to discover, you want to create, and you're thinking so far beyond what the money might have right now. And that technology is so important to continuing advancing what we're able to do all around the world. So, significant contributions. That's all that I had. So questions. If there's other questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Let's give others a chance.
What is your R&D budget in your university?
The R&D budget? I think the last numbers I saw, I just looked at that actually yesterday. 650 million annually. Yeah.
Licensing income?
Huh?
Licensing income?
Oh, I think that they gave me that information. Did I put that in here? I don't think I can get that for you because I know that they gave that information to me. I'll be honest, it's not huge. It really isn't. So because the royalty rate is so small, it's really hoping for one big hit, you know. So the mass spectrometer was developed at Purdue University by a faculty Les Geddes, and that one is still paying in dividends. So, you know, they look for those big hits that really pay back to the university, and it covers the continued research for everybody else as well. So, yeah. Other questions? All right. Thank you so much.
What is your advice to faculty?
What is my what?
Advice to faculty in terms of protecting their IP?
Well, so I work in a space where my developments are not able to be protected. I develop programs and workshops and curriculum and things like that, and I can copyright them, but you know, not much there. If I had the ability to patent them, I absolutely would be. You know, the not just the potential financial gains that come from it, but I think also the recognition and, you know, that someone else acknowledged that what you developed was new and novel and important.
So what percentage of your disclosures you convert them as patents?
Yeah, so you can see here, this is application. So for like this past year, let's see, there were 312, well that's just showing total patents. The patent to disclosure is about 800 disclosures and resulting in about, I think, oh wait, that was on the first one, right? There we go. Disclosures was 400 and then 262, now, you know, patents lag well behind the disclosure process because it takes so long, but I would say on average that is probably about right.
What does it mean, public-private partnership licensing?
Say that again? I'm sorry.
Public-private partnership licensing.
Especially for vaccines and drug research.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Did you want to say more?
Especially for drugs and vaccine research, you said public-private partnership licensing.
Yes. So typically what's happening in the vaccine process, so like what we saw with COVID when they were developing vaccines for that, the whatever company ends up doing that still makes money off of that, but it's typically paid for by the government. The government is the primary customer, or NGOs, other organizations that are actually buying that vaccine, through their manufacturing partners. So in those public-private partnerships, that's usually what that looks like. It's still licensing. There's still money being traded between the two entities. Yeah. Well, I'm around for a little while still today, so if you want to talk later, I'd be happy to.
So what do you mean by Purdue connected startups?
Say that?
What do you mean by Purdue connected startups?
So that
Are they from students of the campus, or?
So it could be students, it could be graduate students, faculty, alumni also are included in that. So that's been a big push to get alumni to come back and license technologies and start companies.
So only alumni and no startup like someone who already registered and doing good work?
No. So it would have to be that they're using Purdue intellectual property in that process.
So
yeah.
all the 275 listed here belong to one of these categories.
Yes.
So they're not people who are in and around West Lafayette and all that, and then they can come and get incubated here. Do you handhold the startups that are in the community and no?
No, because with an institution that large, there's a primary focus on Purdue-based intellectual property. But another organization that I work with in Lafayette is the one that works with the startup companies there. Matchbox.
James Halstrom. James Halstrom, the guy?
Oh, so no. So that's still a Purdue entity as well.
Okay.
Matchbox.
Matchbox?
Yeah. Okay. So there's a couple of organizations like Matchbox that are working with other people in the community outside of Purdue that Purdue won't serve.
Oh, but ours is like a Matchbox within the university.
Right. But you're doing both.
We're not many faculty and student startups.
Yes, yeah. So typically, the resources are there for the faculty and students, and for the community at large, it's a different service. No.
See, all these startups are being incubated in your incubation center. This Purdue Connect startups, they're all being incubated in your incubation center, or?
Yeah. So the idea, there's a couple different ways in which they invest in those startups. Once they actually decide that they want to, they do a formation, they have their entity, they have their managers, right? So the Foundry is the primary piece of that. So the Firestarter workshop, the curriculum that we developed there is one of the ways in which we would start to help the faculty think through the process of actually developing that company. The Trask Fund is a resource of actual funding for that company. And we help with grant writing for other opportunities to be able to fund it. But we try and surround them with as many resources as possible to start the company and get things moving forward. Including, we actually help find CEOs. So if the faculty is not interested in being a CEO but wants to be a chief scientific officer, we help find business folks that are interested in being CEOs and taking the risk with the company.
The first we're doing the Firestarter, right?
Huh?
We're doing a abridged version of Firestarter. You probably would want to somebody would want to be a part of it because they have to be a startup, a co-founder, and to be part of the program that's what we are going to do on the first selected 8 co-founders.
Mm-hmm.
Want to give a little preview to that so that if somebody wants, they can come to me and register for that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So Firestarter is a curriculum that we developed at the Purdue Foundry to help faculty think through the initial startup kind of concept, right? So you have a technology, but you have to understand what would the business model actually be around that technology in order for you to make money off of it, right? So Firestarter is a curriculum where we go through the evaluation process of, what is the problem that you're really addressing? What does the design of that solution look like? What is the market that is available to you? So who would those customers be? How would you reach them? How would you actually get the product in their hands? We think about, the kind of the marketing and sales process. Who are the partners that you need to have if it's a physical product that has to be manufactured? So it's a really nice kind of packaged way to think through and evaluate the startup company and how you will actually move it into the marketplace. So that is a program that Ravi has access to and is able to implement here. So it really, the curriculum works very well for any stage of idea. So, we had undergraduate students coming to us regularly with, kind of half-baked ideas, not fully formed, but they knew they wanted to do something that was kind of like this. And we would take them through the curriculum and help them really develop that idea and build a foundation of what's possible, what makes sense, what will the market bear, so that they can continue to move those ideas forward. So educating on entrepreneurship, because it's not just it's not as easy as we might think it should be, right?
Okay, anybody who's interested to be part of the program?
What is expected in the proof of concept?
Oh, so that's the Trask. That's the Trask Awards that we discussed. So the proof of concept is still really lab bench. I mean, it's in early stages still. At that point, we expect there to be at least a disclosure, and we've established that there is something to protect there, or it has already been patented by the institution, and now they're trying to move it from the lab. So typically, it's trying to get it out of the lab bench into kind of that next phase. So if it's a little bit of a scale up, a larger size, sometimes it could be clinical trials and helping fund clinical trials to do kind of those first bits of evaluation, animal trials, that kind of thing.
Yeah, ma'am. Is there any credibility of the inventor, first inventor and second inventor, priority-wise? What is the size, minimum team size?
Say the first part again.
Yeah, to take the credibility while you are filing a patent, what should be the minimum team size? Is there any priority to the first inventor and second inventor?
Yeah, so typically, the faculty is always the priority. If faculty wants to license the technology, they have first right to it before anybody else does. Typically, though, when they start, it is them and maybe their graduate student. So it can be very small. We don't require, that they have any particular team size or any kind of individual on their team other than, themselves. We believe entrepreneurship can be taught. And so if a faculty member wants to do that, we have the means to teach them how to do that. Now, typically, once they start going towards investment funds, if they're trying to get outside money, we know that they have to have other experienced people on their team, and that's when they start to grow that team and develop, 3 to 5 people maybe, but typically it's still really small. Yeah.
Maybe he's asking the contribution of the invention of the inventor.
Of the inventor?
Yeah. How much contribution of a particular inventor in an invention? Maybe he's asking.
Is there any weightage given to first inventor, second inventor, third inventor?
Oh yeah, oh absolutely, yeah. So it's just like the publication process, right? So it's ranked as far as the individual inventors themselves, right? So there's the primary. Is that the question you're asking? How they're prioritized?
No, I think just is trying to ask whether there is any difference between the first inventor and the second inventor when the patent has been filed or commercialized and things like that.
Oh no, that is all equal. So when we say that a third goes back to the inventor, that's inventors. So if there's more than one, it would be split between them as well. So any inventor that is listed as the inventor on the patent gets that same royalty back.
Is there any impact if the team size is closing?
Oh, no.
See, as per the Indian Patent Act, every inventor has got the equal and undivided share on the invention. There is no differentiation between the first inventor and the second inventor as far as the rights of the invention are concerned. Everyone has got the same undivided rights, equal rights.
Yeah.
So it's like, don't include your research guide just for sake of inclusion. You will have to split the money for a lifetime.
Yeah. As Ravi said, once the technology is commercialized, you will get the same percentage of royalty as you get as a number one person in the inventing team.
Yeah.
So better to minimize or put the people who have really directly contributed for the invention. But our culture is like that. You put so many people in the team to get them goodwill.
That's okay for paper presentation, not for a patent.
Yeah.
So many inventors doing the invention. See, what is the contribution inventor contributed some 60% of the invention. Another one some 20%, another one can.
But as of now, you know better than me as a IP attorney.
Yeah, that is my question to
Yeah. But I think everywhere the law remains same.
That is the question to her.
Don't put the 10%.
How we have overcome that is, we again have another agreement, which is basically the income that comes, the 1/3 that income, like from here, whatever is coming, in our case different, the royalty that is coming, it's coming into the company that we all form together, and we hold percentages in that ratio. So it's not everybody is getting the same thing. It comes to that specific entity, and from there people are given as a dividend at the end in that specific percentage. So you can do a workaround around that if you really have to.
Special agreement you mean to say?
Yeah, additional agreement that is between the parties.
Proportion to the shareholding probably.
Yeah, it's a shareholding matter. Okay, so if anybody would want to be part of the 5-starter program, which we are going to hold it on the 1st and the first half of on the 2nd, which is where you'll be pitching. I think we have said the person will be made to do the pitch by the end of the day and then come and the next day pitch. We're talking about 8 co-founders sort of, or want-to-be entrepreneurs or co-founders who would be part of this. It's largely not again a classroom setting. This is going onto the board and completely sketching out or whiteboarding your goals, idea to start up to complete the business plan and everything. So anybody interested can talk to me and we will include it. We're still not advertised without even people knowing already 3-4 in the AHA have said yes. I know a lot of startups would jump in and would want to be a part of it, but if anybody out here from 8, maybe we can encourage it to 10 people with your permission. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's very interactive. We try and do everything very hands-on and direct application to the concepts that you're working on.
Napkin drawings and all this stuff.
Yes. And I'll be there.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, friends, let us have the second talk by Mr. Ali Asghar Kalkatawala. I think people who are already in the startup arena, startup business, I think he doesn't need an introduction. He is very well known in the startup community. But for the benefit of the freshers, newcomers for this kind of events, just I would like to read his background. So he had his international masters in mechatronics in 2007 at University of Zeiss in Germany, and he's a BE Mechanical Engineering, MS Ramaya Institute of Technology, Bangalore, and there are large number of achievements to his credit. Featured in the top 100 Indian innovations in 2022. And he developed product. The product he has developed won the award. The product for future design by Business World, and represented sales during a dignitary's visit on numerous occasions. He had also got the opportunity to interact with the Prime Minister of India to showcase his product also in the IDEX of the Defence Expo, and has got large number of awards and funding for his invention. And I request Mr. Ali Asghar Kalkatawala to give his presentation and inspire particularly the youngsters, and who wanted to become entrepreneurs and who are in the process of entrepreneurship, to share his experiences. After this, we can ask for the program.
Okay. After this, lunch here, we can go. Okay.
But since this has happened because of the delay, initial delay.
Right, okay.
Finish.
Or I can just say, people who would want to pick up coffee, you can go pick it up and then come in.
5 minutes, you want?
Oh yeah, 5 minutes bio break and all that. While we set up the system. Yeah.
Okay, let us come
We'll
back.
set up the system while you go up. There's just down the corridor you have a multi-purpose room, which is the restrooms, and after that, and there is the tea and biscuits out there.
Please come.
I'm the professor. Yeah, computer science.
You're very busy. There's lots going on right now, so this is very busy.
She's my colleague.
Juliana, nice to meet you. Yes, so as far as cybersecurity, are there things that
tea break.
you develop? Are you seeing opportunities for patenting? Yeah. Do you have an email? Statuses of startups, is that something you're interested in?
Are you said it click away?
It's not for everyone. I look at it and I say, I understand if you went to school that long to get a doctorate, to be an expert in something, and now suddenly someone say, I want you to do something totally different. I want you to start a business. You're like, hold on. What did I do all that schoolwork for? So that I think we have a passion for it and an interest. So it's a great addition we see great benefits to the graduate students and the students that you teach in that experience as well. They use great knowledge. I think I will maybe set up a I try not to have too much caffeine. Usually. Are you practicing?
Oxford.
Okay, then I know.
It's a process, right? And computer science is a little harder. That's as far as protecting it, figuring out the right way to do that. Most of the time with that. Yes, absolutely. I think that's great. Your students, we find that computer science students seem to be most interested in certain pieces that we have, and they're interested in doing everything, right? Yeah. I think it's the accessibility of it, right? If you know how to code and you have a laptop, you can start a company. And so it's so much more accessible and a quick process of doing it. Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Yes. Alright, thank you for coming. Juliana, nice to meet you. Wonderful. Are you faculty then?
This is companies.
You have PhDs on. Okay, excellent. Do you have technologies that you're developing? This is entrepreneurship of interest. Yeah, if you're available, we're doing a workshop on Thursday, and then presentations on Friday. Love to have you join us. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You know, it's very practical application. We try to get, explain the process a little bit. We're trying to talk about the market, market size. Now we'll do it. We're trying to get right to the place. Yeah, thank you. Very nice to meet you.
She is abroad. Give a second.
It's okay.
Swan. You are taking yes. Filing procedure.
మనోడు కూడా చెప్పాల్సింది మనోడు కూడా చెప్పాల్సింది మీరు వచ్చారంటే వాళ్ళు వద్దురేమో నేను సడన్గా చూసాను ఈరోజు క్లాసులు లేవు కదా, సర్లే అక్కడికి వచ్చినదేదో ఇక్కడే కూర్చున్నాం అంతే కదా.
అంతే మేడం.
చాలా అయిపోయింది. ఐపీది ఎప్పుడు ఐపీ అనుకుంటున్నాను, కానీ ఏదో చదువుతున్నాం అక్కడక్కడ. కానీ
పేటెంట్స్ మీవి ఉన్నట్టున్నాయి మేడం.
ఉన్నాయి, ఏదో స్కాలర్ని చూసుకుంటారు కదా, మనం ముందు చూసేద్దాం. దిల్సే చెయ్యాలంటే ఒకటి తెలుసుకుని చెయ్యాలి.
కమర్షియలైజ్డ్
అవన్నీ
రికార్డ్ ఎవరు లేనప్పుడు ఎందుకు రికార్డ్ పెట్టేస్తారు?
రికార్డ్
నేనేం బాగాను మేడం. సరే
ఆఫ్ చేసేనా? అక్కడ కూడా వేసేసారు.
it's called Purdue. They said they'll get the keys and ownership and keep it ready for us. Okay? మీరు అక్కడ వస్తే నేను ఇంటికి వస్తే యూ కెన్ గో అండ్ హ్యావ్ ఎ లుక్ ఎట్ అక్కడే ఉందా లోడ్ కమల్ కమల్ ఓకే ఓకే యా విల్ డూ ఇట్ లేటర్ yeah sure go ahead and first let's finish this okay
Very good morning to all of you. Special thank you to Prof.
కింద మినిమైజ్ అయ్యింది మినిమైజ్
అది బయట డిస్ప్లే
డబుల్ క్లిక్
ज़्यादा एक्सटेंड किया था एक्सटेंड duplicate going blue then it's coming okay so somehow this is technology okay
Very warm good morning to all of you. Special thanks to Purushottam sir for getting me over here. A very nice lecture from Juliana and the respected professors and the faculty. I am Ali Asgar Calcutta Wala and I represent a startup in the area of marine robotics, in the area which is towards safety, and we're into basically now making unmanned surface systems. So it was a wonderful session which started in the morning, and I would like to thank sir for getting the different stakeholders for this particular event, because here you get to know about the intellectual property rights, how wonderfully it has been included in the faculty development and technology creation and commercialization by the Purdue University, and I'm sure Andhra University is also doing that lot, and that learning would be very important for that. And as representing a startup is the another spectrum which will be coming into your studies now, is like how we actually go into developing a product as a commercial product and into the market once the technology has been patented and the product has been come out of research. So we are basically, I just like to give you a small introduction about our company. We represent Self Automation Services, and we are basically So we are a defense tech startup, and we developed our flagship product, which developed was a battery-powered, self-propelled lifebuoy. We have been incubated here at AP Innovation Society, and big thanks to Professor Valli Kumari Madam, because she was the time when we germinated with AP Innovation Society, and today, almost after 3 years under the leadership from the different authorities of the government, we have matured into a big startup by God's grace. And with working with AP Innovation Society over here, we have developed systems which are used for saving lives on water. I have a small 30-second video which will tell you about the product, which will make it more interesting to proceed further. This is a self-propelled system which is controlled by a person who is on the shore, and it's a small 1 meter system which can take care of all the waves to reach the person who is in distress. So the drowning person can hold on to that, and it's powerful enough to get that person back to the shore or the safety. So this product has been designed along with the Indian Navy with the program for Innovation for Defence Excellence. It's again a good program by the Indian Defence, wherein the problem statements of the armed forces and now even the different departments under the ministries are being put open to the startups or individuals or MSMEs. It can also be a team of faculties from the different universities where the problem statement is put open to them, and you can come up with a solution, and if out of that, if you're selected, they can be giving you grants up to 1.5 crore Indian rupees, and together you can build up a product. The most important aspect of that is not just the money which is there, but you get the access to the Indian armed forces, the defense personnel, and able to meet it. That is more important rather than just the money part of it. So yes, we were in that we developed this particular product, and within a 3 years cycle of failures and success, we were able to come up with an actual product which was approved by the Indian Navy after rigorous trials, and it was inducted in the Indian Navy. So now mostly all the naval ships, Indian naval ships, have our product. And by God's grace, we would like to also share that just recently in one of the operations with the Indian Navy, they were actually able to save 4 people from drowning. So that was a wonderful achievement by God's grace for us. So it was actually put into practice, and we were able to save lives. We had, when we started developing on this product, I had a very little experience on the patenting part of it. So one of my mentors just said me that, please go and get your patent filed or the disclosure put in. So we were always under the impression that, we do a patenting when the product is ready, for marketing, or the product is almost ready, the whole process of its development. And I was wrong, and gratefully I had mentors who told me that no, it's not required. Even when you're in the ideation stage, you can put in a patent actually. So by the time you come up with the product, you have the patent also. That life cycle of the patent is also in progressing. So that is one thing which I would like to share with all of you, that if you have coming up with an idea and it is already in, those wheels have started rolling, you can also apply for the initial provisional patent, so you get a priority date. So that will also be helpful for you. We have got 2 granted patents, Indian granted patents for our product. And our first patent was through NRDC when Sir was heading that, and it was completely taken care by them. And as Sir said that when we are working on this as an Indian startup, the idea of this of equipment going to save somebody else is not, the idea is not new. It's just like if I want to go from here to RTC complex, I can either go by walking, or I can go by vehicle. It can be a car, bus, but going there is, the idea is universal. It cannot be patented. So similarly, for saving a person, trying to send a equipment was not a new idea, but yes, there were competitors from the European market who had already a developed product. And when the moment we started working on this idea, out of sheer motive, to suppress new initial innovation in India to be coming up so that we could be their own competitors, they had filed up an patent infringement case with us. And very well, as Sir said, and the very good support from NRDC, we were able to ward off that. And we were actually not at all doing a patent infringement, because as an engineers and as a researchers, we had a very clear thought that we will not be doing the typical Control C and Control V, which is usually done at times, but we will have our own technology so that tomorrow when we want to do marketing, we won't fall into such traps. But yes, NRDC and the IPR cell which they are having very proactively supported us, and we were able to overcome this patent infringement suit. So as a startup, we would like to always say that please keep your patents and checks properly in your system, so that you are always safe from that. And as today, as we are into, we started with this self-propelled life buoys actually, but now today we are into completely unmanned systems. This is bigger platforms which are completely autonomous, and that is what we are working on. And as I was sitting here today, I was just thinking that we have actually, because of the sheer work and their sheer commitments of delivery, we stopped on applying for new patents. So now I was just thinking that yes, again you have to at least apply 1 or 2 new patents, that wheel keeps on rolling. And maybe yes, that's what I take it from here. And today, as I stand over here, I also request that I've been a startup. Ravi sir knows us well, and through Purushottam sir, if there are any possibilities wherein the faculties would like to take some support from us, some helpful advice from us, or partner us with us for some of their requirements, we are always open for that, and we would really look forward for that, because as I stand over here today is not just because of my effort, but the effort and the well wishes of a whole team. I'm just a face which is being representing over here, and yes, so as a lot of well wishers behind my back. So I would also like to be behind the back of some of the other future successful startups, and that's where I would like to take this opportunity of being able to address all of you over here. Thank you very much, and if there are any questions, I'm open to answer them.
How did we get this idea? It against a problem statement given by the ministry to develop this solution.
Yes, it was a problem statement from the Indian Navy, and we were already working in that, because we are also from a background of marine basically working with the marine industry. So this idea, when it came to us, it was quite natural that being in a seashore and being associated with the marine would have a good market coming in. So yes, when this idea came in from them also, in 2018 when the IDEX first started with 10 problem statements, so this was a part of their problem statement. So then we were able to merge it up together and come up with an actual solution for that. Today we have already almost given more than 250 units, 180 units to the Indian Navy and to the other government agencies all across India. In fact, now whenever there are high delegation visits from the Indian Defence Forces to foreign countries like Sri Lanka, like Mauritius, they gift our product as a gift to these countries. So like that, the Indian Sri Lankan Navy, they have given our gift to the Mauritius Coast Guard, they have given our product. So by God's grace, we have been able to achieve to that. And just recently, just to share with you the good news is, we were awarded as the best startup of the year by the National Startup Body, which is the actual body which recognizes startup. So as again I say that today we are just the front face, but there's a whole backup of well wishes and prayers and support from a lot of people behind us.
What is the cost of? Oh yeah.
What is the cost of the individual revenue product?
It is very specific to the usage what you would like to go in for. So if it's for life-saving applications or as a platform, maybe after the meeting, and you can meet me personally, I can discuss for that with you, ma'am.
Range we can specify.
SRH, it starts from around 6 to it can go up to 10 lakhs, and it depends, very configurable depending upon what you want. Because we always said we are the OEMs. You say you want this the tea to be more sweeter, we can add 2 more spoons of sugar to it. You want without milk, we can give it to you without milk. So that is the advantage of us.
payload it can take?
It can carry a fully grown adult in the water. We have tried with people up to 100 kgs. Very easily it can go, and it can support as a stationary buoy. It can support up to 3 people. But as I said, in the actual rescue which was there with the Indian Navy, it was supporting 4 people in a rough sea condition. It is designed for supporting at least 3 people in standard without moving. Yes.
Any introduction to the people who are dying in water pools, in the star hotels, and any introduction the product to the GVMC, where keeping their heads down when the situation will happen. Any introduction of your product?
So GVMC has purchased 2 such units, but unfortunately they are not using it. It is in one of the stores.
They have to use it, isn't it? Because when people die, simply they will show their crocodile tears. Is it not?
Yes.
But
So
it is to be focused, and as you have shown now in this, it is to be brought into the notice of the YouTube or something like that also, so that people will get aware that some equipment is available, life-saving equipment is available.
yes,
I
yes,
feel.
yes, sir. That has to be done. In fact, GVMC almost a year back they had purchased, had a lot of.
The poster for the
for the RK Beach basically. RK Beach, yes. So, but they have not utilized. Now we are trying to, with the new commissioner coming in again, we are trying to again discussing with them and try to get it. Yes, more units to
And
them.
in some swimming pools of 5-star hotels or something like that, small boys drowned.
Yes.
And without simply that management kept a blank face when the thing happened. And such 5-star hotels are also to be introduced with your innovation.
Yes, sir. Yes. That is a good idea. In fact, we were thinking of it, but yes, we have to have a more structured, the marketing and go for it. Such kind of systems. Yes.
Maybe you should get it put into some compliance kind of a thing, like fire extinguishers and all. They are made compulsory at certain places. The
Yes,
same
madam.
way,
That is
there are pools.
that is a good idea, madam. Now, but it takes a time, and we can have a proper structured way to have that into compliance. But yes, it is a very good option, and like till now, frankly, we have not done much of marketing because after we finish the naval orders, we are already working on other research products, and also now we have to get into the full mode of dedicated marketing. In fact, that's what I was speaking with Ravi sir. Is looking for interns for that basically. So yes, we would like to give opportunities to people who can learn with us, and together we can grow. So yes, once we have something like that, we can have a better range of this, because wherever there is water, this can be used.
How many people are on your team? How big is your company?
We have 18 people in our team at the moment.
Are they like technical? Like what's the
Yes, 10 people are technical, engineers, and the other 8 people are basically the support staff, the logistics, the marketing. Yes. But yes, we still need to further sharpen our claws, because as we said that we are not just developing life buoys, we are working unmanned platforms which can be used for a lot of applications. It's like a platform on water, can be used for delivery of medicines, can be used for delivery of payload. So it's an autonomous system. So we're already working. We have made a 2.3 meter system for again the Indian Defence through the IDEX, and we are working on that. And I take this opportunity to invite all of you who would be interested to come down to our facility. So please, sir, if you can coordinate something, so they can also come have a visit to it. And once they see that the enthusiasm is more, and the more we meet, the more we learn from each other.
Yeah, it's an excellent life-saving product.
Thank you.
Thanks for providing that. So my question is I heard that somebody filed an IP infringement suit on this. So what exactly happened? Can you please share the story of that? Like how you won on the IP infringement?
Basically, there was one European company which was making such kind of systems, and they filed an infringement suit saying that we were copying their idea of their patent which they had filed, and that was the only thing, just to bog us down from the initial development of this product. But when we went into the detailed suit which they had sent, and we studied our product, and when we gave them point by point reply, we were in no way the shape or the way it works. There are some typical features which they have incorporated, and we have very from the initial only we did not use that as a stepping stone to create the product. We used it in our own style. So that is how we are able to give them reply and on technical terms. But yes, when we have to reply to them under IPR, proper with the proper lawyers backing us from the NRDC, they were able to give the reply. That's all. We did not hear again from them.
Right. Actually, the product or process or both are getting protected for patent. So I just wanted to understand, like you protected product and as well as process as a something like product by process.
The product basically it is, and the process. I'm not sure what if I'm able to answer that, but yes, the product as such we were able to. Our design we were able to showcase to them that it is your design is there. We are not copying that design. As I told you, the idea of equipment going or of mobility transportation is common. Like from here to beach, if you want to go, you can take an auto, you can take a cycle, you can take a roller skates, you can take a bus. So nobody can patent that. But yes, if you're taking a car, so if you take a Rolls Royce, so you take a Maruti. There are different technologies which are inbuilt in those vehicles. So that is what they had filed a patent, and we made sure that we did not copy on that. But
the patent or design registration.
It was a patent. It was a patent, yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
How long was your development process from when you came up with the concept to first sale? How long did that take?
It was very short, by God's grace. We started our project in 2018, and 2021 was the first order of 180 units. 3 years. It's a miracle for us. And that too, the order was from the Indian Defence Forces. As I tell you, it's a miracle because to get a product approved by the Defence Forces of any part of the world is very difficult, first of all. And to get an order out of that requirement is again another very difficult task. But yes, we are able to sail through that. And today, when I use the word sail, immediately what flashes in my mind is fail. And when I say fail, I would like to quote our former President Abdul Kalam Azad, sir, when he always gives an acronym of to fail as the first attempt in learning. So that is what we believe, that it's the first attempt in learning, and if you don't fail, you cannot sail. So that is important. So yes, our curve was very sharp, and as I told you, like a lot of people back up and a lot of things which is behind the back end we don't understand, but yes, that is what propels us to this stage today.
Any more questions? From the prospective entrepreneurs, he is a successful entrepreneur for people to emulate. How much you invested?
It will be in the range of 4 to 5 CR, sir. Yeah. But not in one shot, over small tidbits. So, yes.
So you had any help of investors in the early stages?
No, we did not go for any investors, and even now also we don't want to go for investors immediately, because yes, we feel that we can sustain ourselves with the orders what we are expecting and what we have got and into business. Yes, but we are looking for strategic investors who are able to not just give money, but they
Access to market.
yes, access to market, improve our processes, and not be a burden on us with just that money factor that I gave you 5x or I need 20x, or sorry, we're not interested in that. But we are looking for such kind of strategic investors. But as of now, as I told you, see, for us, because it was a little easier comparatively because we come from a business background. So for us, raising money is not a big problem, but the most important thing which IDEX also gave us was the connect. Today, we had the chance of showcasing our product directly to the Prime Minister of India in the Defence Expo. On a number of occasions, we have directly displayed our product to the Defence Minister of India. And such high dignitary visits like the Deputy Prime Minister of Australia, from the Union Minister of India, Dr. Mr. Piyush Goyal. So such kind of connects and such kind of things which we have got from through the ITEC. So that is very important for us, because once you give us that, it is easier. Like the most important connect is the end user, the Indian Navy, because without a proper reference, it's not even the sentry will not even allow you to walk inside the gate. So that is more important, and what I feel that if you're into the defense kind of ecological system, that is more important. And now IDEX has grown up multifold, and there are a number of challenges which are keep on coming. And I am sure with Andhra University, such a huge talents pool of professors, research which is going on, I'm sure if you are focused, and as sir is having some that program which I just heard about, some you can go through that program and able to focus on something, that is more important. Because once I had been to Indian Institute of Technology in Chennai, and we saw that this is almost before we started this particular program around 2017. They have a lot of patents to that. But then I asked him as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, is how many new products have come, which has actually gone to the market. So they did not have much a good answer for that at that time in 2017. They have good technology, but products which actually is useful to the mankind or to the people or section of people is more important. I'm very happy with what Purdue University did, and that's really what we startups lack at that sometime, or lack the support which we get sometimes, that not able to get the focused support to move in further. So similarly, we were when we were with the AP Innovation Society, there was one particular program with the University of Texas, and which was basically on honing our skills on the presentation and how we make our pitch and all that. That was wonderful for us. So such kind of supports which keep on coming, and it really sharpens us to be able to take this forward, basically. And as accelerate, yes ma'am, yes, accelerated, yes. It's a wonderful program.
And are you recording or generating any data when you are leaving the equipment onto the seas?
Yes, our system has innumerable number of sensors.
So you're recording, logging all that?
All that data is logged. We do actual radio communication. It's a mechatronic product, so we use the battery technology, we use the composites technology, we use the radio communication, the RF technology, we use FRP and the composites molding technology, and we use the same technology which goes in cooling your laptops, such small systems without any moving parts, for our systems which is almost cooling 3 kilowatts of power. So yes, we use some of those technologies quite a bit.
So how about the sea conditions, or when it's traveling, when it's navigating? So how about the sea conditions? Water pressure, winds?
Yeah, I'll for the benefit of everybody, what Madam is asking is about the sea conditions, how it travels. So like we do a number of testing on our product. The basic thing what I have learned is, because I worked in Bharat Electronics, Bangalore, which is defense public sector unit, and they also work for the defense, and they have a lot of checks and standard operating procedures in place. So for our system, we have a number of tests, module wise, sub-module wise, assembly wise. So typically one of our tests involves dropping it. We climb over the high diving boat in the command swimming pool 30 feet up, and we just drop our system into the water to see what happens to it, because that is the actual condition when it will be used. From the ship, it will be thrown into the water. It need not be lowered, so it is rugged in that way, so it can take a 30 feet drop in the water and can go. So I think with that, even the worst sea conditions also it can very easily cater to. And it is also having another intelligent designing, when we see that if it topples over because of this waves or because of this thing, it again comes back to its stable position. That is typically the concepts of naval architecture which go into building big warships have been shrunk to just 1 meter size. So I'm sure like a lot of you would have seen this movie Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. So it's typically that, But the most challenging part is we are shrinking the size of the mechanical system, but we are not shrinking the operating environment. The operating condition is the same. It's the same cyclonic weather or the same cyclonic wind or the waves which we are attacking, which the actual ship would be doing. So that is where the most complexity in the technology challenge comes to us. Is we are making things which are small, but we are operating in the same environment which is very rough. So in fact now, with, as I told you, with number of fails, we have been able to make it sail through. Is even in the cyclonic conditions. So basically, whenever there is a cyclone in the eastern side, this is the best ground for us to go and test our product, because we get a number of waves and we are able to very easily, check our system performance in such kind of rough conditions.
And have you got any sensors put on the equipment to log and record data?
Yes, yes.
So that in future you'd get to know what kind of a design modification needs to be done, or
yes,
where your equipment is really lagging on the performance or doing better.
Yes, ma'am. We have, as I told you, we have innumerable number of sensors like the voltages, the batteries, the RPMs, the leak, the lot of other things are there which we sense.
Conditions, particularly the wave velocity and turbulence.
The wave velocity and all, we those are bigger sensors which, if you put it, we have put such kind of sensors on a bigger platform which can do wave monitoring basically. But for our present likewise, we can feel the weather, we can see the the tidal charts, and we can get to know the wind velocity and the waves which are coming in. So basically a very rough sea would be a sea wherein the waves are almost 2 meters in height. So that would mean a sea state 4 as per the marine technology, vocabulary, and which is very, very bad. And even bigger ships don't venture out in sea state 4. And sea state 3 and 4 is bad. So we have been able to operate in such kind of conditions. So, yes.
So have you tried to integrate the regular sea navigation with the aerial navigation? Whenever there is a cyclone, you can integrate it with the regular drone so that it takes off needn't travel to the sea.
We have ideas for that, but basically we have not done it now. Is yes, we are looking for partnership in the area, with people who are having mastery in basically those drones. We can just connect both of this product together and come up with a new product rather than we ourselves designing a new aerial drone and learning again from that ground zero. But yes, that can be done, and yes, we are looking out for people in that area. So together we can join hands to come up with a much better solution. Because at the end of the day, what we have kept our metrics of success is not just the turnover, but the lives which we save. So yes, at the end, together with combination of both of them, if we are able to save one life, all our effort and hardships is worth it.
I think just like cockpit recording is already taken care of.
Yes, yes, it is there.
Have you faced any have you operated your device in any cyclonic conditions apart from
Yes, we have done. That's what I'm saying, that we go out for testing whenever there is a cyclone, before or the after, when the sea is very rough. In fact, unfortunately my laptop is not connected. I have videos, maybe we can share. Is wherever there is before in Goa also we did a test wherein there was cyclone in the Mumbai and the Gujarat side, and the beach was closed for all users to visit it. The sea was so bad, the wind was so heavy that even standing on the beach we could get the sand coming and hitting our eyes and ears. I've never seen such kind of atmosphere, windy conditions in Vizag till now, but it was so bad. So we were able to use it in this.
In the process, could you save any lives or do any sort of?
No, it was a demonstration basically. So there wasn't anybody. People are not allowed to go there. It wasn't there. But yes, the point when we saved a life in the Navy area was like, I'll give a small brief without disclosing the ship and all. It was a night time and they were doing an operation where people were boarding onto the ship, and one of the person unfortunately fell into the sea and he became unconscious. To save him, 3 marine commandos who are trained to swim, who are trained to keep themselves, and marine commandos are meant for not just training but a lot of other things. They are trained for that. They jumped into the water, but the drift was so high, the wave, the current, that all these people have been just drifting away from the ships, almost 300 to 500 meters away. So then, luckily, the people on one of the deck threw our life buoy, and they were able to go, and all 4 people were able to hold on to that. So this gave the ship crew the additional window of time to lower their bigger life-saving boats, and they could go, and it was again night time, so our systems have lights blinking. So that also served as a marker from them, and all the 4 people were holding on to the life buoy, and they were able to save because they got the extra window. So yes, this is how it is used in such conditions. And as I told you, like, see, most of the government agencies and all, if they start using this, we can learn a lot from them, and come up with their whatever problems they are having. We are learning from how to solve those problems, and they can actually, we never know when you could be able to save somebody's life.
This is only not life-saving, but we can study the system of oceanography also, and we can take care of the new moon and the full moon tides, how they will appear or impact the humankind.
Very much, very much. In fact, sir, we have done that. Our bigger platform is actually doing that. We can do depth measurements, we can do complete bathymetry, hydrography survey, we can do water quality measurements, and a host of applications basically. So we have been doing that, and we can also do that with a lot of them.
Wave displacements for water, ocean-based power generation.
Yes, wave studies we can do. We have a bigger platform which is having a special sensors which can completely do wave studies. We are also working on other unmanned systems which can do underwater acoustic communications. That is again for naval applications. So it can communicate, being on the surface with the proper sensor. It can do underwater acoustic communications with the sub-sea assets, and communicate back and then communicate to the shore. So yes, so high-end application. It's a platform now. It can save lives. It can take lives. It can do X, Y, Z, everything.
Good afternoon, sir. My question, because really we teach entrepreneurship. I want to ask, how can we teach the present students on sustainable entrepreneurship, and what it means in your terms?
Sustainable entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
ma'am?
How it is important for the present generation to teach on sustainable entrepreneurship. What does it mean to you, sir?
See, the present generation
Yes.
now, with so much of buzz on the startup, and they're hearing a lot about people coming up, unicorns coming up, startups earning more, the growth is more, young people coming up. So they have now, a lot of people are now well versed with what is the advantage of starting up some company or being your own boss and then getting a fame. But as I told you, setting up a company and getting fame, in between is a small, like it's the iceberg, which is, you just see the tip of the iceberg when you see success, but you miss out the big lump of ice which is underwater, submerged of the iceberg. So when you are teaching entrepreneurship now, and for a sustainable entrepreneurship, what I would request and urge them is to ask them to look at the take case studies of entrepreneurs who have failed basically. And again, that fail is not the fail of the other failing offer, but the first attempt in learning, which a lot of people have put in. So that will give them a confidence that yes, it's okay that first attempt, second attempt, third attempt. And just for your exam, just for you to put it across, like today by God's grace we were able to win the awards from the National Startup. But this was a third attempt. It wasn't the first attempt. And this time when we attempted it for my person was filling up the application form, I was least interested that. But okay, I said, give it a shot. That is the thing. Yes, you may be tired, you may be bored, but give it a shot. That is the only thing, is give it a shot. You may think that it's a waste of exercise, but we have to give it a shot. So that is the most important. If they're able to learn that, they can keep on innovating, and whenever the adrenaline is down, that will pump them to again take the next step. It's a difficult journey, but people have done it and they have been successful. Thank you very much, and wonderful sharing my experience with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ali Calcutta for your excellent talk. See, basically, he himself has conceptualized a solution for the problem. He has not taken any license from anyone. If he has taken a license, the know-how, the knowledge resides elsewhere, and he has to learn that first. But as an entrepreneur, he himself conceptualized the idea and developed a solution. So the experiences of Mr. Calcutta Wala are totally different from a licensing experience. He himself invented the solution. So he has reduced the time to market or the learning curve, all those things. So these are some of the unique examples. We all youngsters should learn and follow such kind of paths what they have followed to achieve such kind of a success. And really, I'm very, very thankful to you for coming over in spite of your busy business schedules to educate our youngsters and to share your experiences. Really, I enjoyed a lot. Very wonderful experience, wonderful talk. Thank you so much. Look forward for your continued association. I think next I need to talk. The next is my talk. Basically, I've been asked to present on understanding the role of intellectual property rights in academia and for startups. Because the theme is meant for startups, but since we structured as a FDP for faculty members, so I would also like to
Yes. Sorry? No, I'm not able to get it here. It's working there, but not here. Because, yeah, it's still
I
there.
haven't extended this right.
No, duplicate is not working. It's okay. Duplicate is a blue screen. Yeah, this is duplicate. See, blue screen. Duplicate has demonic. So I know extend is only the thing that's working. No, extend is working, but here I'm not able to see. But it's the same thing. See, that's the it is not coming up. Everything else is. Yeah. Let's use this. Yeah. How do I put? How do I use it? No, but
should move.
Slide show. Yeah. One. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, press F5.
Yeah, that's what they've done.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's done. Yeah, now it's done. Thanks.
Scroll down. Move it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ravi and Abhilash, for helping me out. Otherwise, I would have been very much handicapped. Good afternoon to all of you. And it is a great pleasure for me to share some of the basic concepts about the importance of IPR, particularly for research scholars, academicians, startups, entrepreneurs. Now, after hearing the two lectures, one from ma'am and one from the Calcutta wala, you may find some of my slides may be redundant, but for the continuity sake, you can bear that, wherever it is feasible, I will try to skip them also. So, it is very important for all of us to understand what is intellectual property. So when we talk about intellectual property, there is an organization called World Intellectual Property Organization, which is a UN body which decides, dictates, give a shape to the entire IP policy at the global level. So as per their definition of intellectual property means it refers to the creations of the mind. Whatever you create using your mind, they're all called intellectual property, such as inventions, that's what we have seen since morning. Whatever research you do, whatever solutions you find out to solve the practical problem, they are all called inventions. Inventions are also one class of intellectual property. Literary and artistic works, the books we write, the paintings we draw, the music we create, all these things also forms a part of intellectual property right. The designs, the symbols, the names and images which are used in the commerce, all these constitutes intellectual property. So that is why across the globe or across the civilizations, governments gives highest priority to develop our mind, because mind should be creative, so that you will be able to understand, appreciate the problems of the society and come out with a solution to solve that problem. How can we solve the problems? Using our brain. So whatever you create using your brain or mind are all called intellectual property rights. So like air is everywhere, intellectual property rights are also there everywhere in the nature. Whatever human beings we are all using, you name anything, they're all forms a part of intellectual property right. Name any product, there is no product which is not covered under the intellectual property rights or intellectual property. But thing is, we don't recognize them, we leave it or we use it. But the current generation of knowledge economy, understanding intellectual property right and getting rights on that intellectual property what you have created is very, very important, because that drives the societal development, the economic development, the country's development. So, intellectual property plays very, very vital role in all our socio-economic and technological developments. And if you see what the great founders or the CEOs of these two great Fortune 500 companies said about intellectual property rights. So what John Strout, who is the chairman of Quaker, said, if the business was split up, I would give you the land and bricks and mortar, and I would take the brands and trademarks, and I would fare better than you. So that is the power of intellectual property right, as per his version. And also if you see the president of Coca-Cola, what he said, if each building, factory and office, car, truck owned would burn down in a moment, the company could get back to operational rebuilding and buying everything lost in 1 year due to the value and profit generated by its intellectual property. So that is the power of intellectual property, namely the income generated by its trademarks, franchises, contracts, patents, licenses, trademarks. So that is the power of intellectual property. The entire business across the globe is driven by the intellectual property rights. So it is very, very important for all of us to understand. If you wanted to contribute to the socio-economic development of the nation where you are a part of it, it's very, very important how to create intellectual property rights, how to protect intellectual property rights, and how to commercialize intellectual property rights. If you don't commercialize the intellectual property, what you have created is of no use or no meaning for it. You are wasting the national resources, So everyone who is in the research and development and who wants to develop something beneficial to the society should have in his mind how my solution is going to develop or useful to the society or to the individuals or to the industry. Always keep the application in mind and try to develop a solution. That is what is very, very important. So the intellectual property can be divided into two types. What are they? One is the industrial property, the other one is the copyrights and related rights. So these are the two types of intellectual property rights system followed across the globe. Industrial property is further divided into 7 types of intellectual property. What are they? They are called industrial designs, patents, trademarks and service marks, trade secrets, geographical indications, layout designs of semiconductor integrated circuits, plant varieties, and farmers' rights. These are the 7 types of industrial property. And mostly we have been talking about patents because among all the intellectual property rights, patents and trademarks are the most vital and most important. Among the intellectual property rights protected across the globe, trademarks are on the top, followed by the patents and designs. So these are some of the examples, the trademarks. We have commonly found all these kind of trademarks when you go to the market. The IBM, the Godrej, Wipro, Puma, Adidas, Nokia, BMW, Coca-Cola, Nivea. These are all the trademarks, which are registered by these companies. So once you see the trademark, you know what kind of product they are offering, what kind of reputation they enjoy in the markets. So basically trademarks are economically efficient way of communicating your brand or your product or your service to the society. In India, the highly valued trademark is Tata's. Tata's means known for the trust, the quality. They don't do any wrong things. That is how the valuation of the brand of that a particular trademark is valued in the market. So next is the designs. Of course, designs are physically appearance. Design registrations are generally registered for their physical appearance, like the ornamental or aesthetic aspect of an article that enhances visual appeal and differentiates product. That is what the physical appearance for all the chairs, tables, the spectacles or the bags what we design, the gold ornaments what we use, they are all protected under this design registration process. This is another kind of intellectual property right. Anything related to the shape is protected under the design registration process. The third one is the important thing is the copyrights. Being in the academia, whatever we do in terms of publishing a paper or writing a book, they're all forms a part of a copyright. So copyright is a proprietary right that protects original works. The condition is that it should be original in nature. And authorship including, like as I told you, the literary including the computer programming. In India, computer programming we register only under copyright, not in patents. But whereas in US, software programs, computer programs are also protected under patents. So dramatic musical, artistic works. All these things are protected under the Copyright Act. The term of copyright is author's life plus 60 years. That is the right one will get once you protect your copyright. So these are some of the important Indian acts related to intellectual property. As we discussed, first and foremost is the patent. Basically is given for the inventions. You need to file an application. Either you can file a provisional application or a complete application, depending upon the state at which your invention is developed. And the life of this patent is for 20 years. And the fees for filing this is government fees is 1,600 rupees. Similarly, the next important intellectual property is the trademark. Again, as I told you, the Trademark Act 1999, all these acts have been enacted by the Government of India in the Parliament, and these acts specifically or basically tells end to end related to that subject matter. If you are a patent, I wanted to know about patent, read the Patent Act 1970, which talks about from end to end how a patent is protected, commercialized. If somebody copies your patent, what kind of a civil, criminal remedies or protections are available to you. So everything is mentioned in the Indian Patent Act. Same way the other countries' patent acts also. Most of these patent acts are harmonized as per the TRIPS agreement. We are all members of the TRIPS. All this to bring a harmonization of the patents or intellectual property rights. All these countries follows majority of them. A common maybe 10-15% variations depending upon the country's requirement. As I told you, the softwares per se cannot be patented in India, but they can be patented in America. So like that, there are some minor variations among these intellectual property laws. The copyright, again, which is one of the oldest intellectual property act or law in our country, which was enacted in 1957. The Designs Act 2000 and Geographical Indication Act again 1999, and Plant Varieties Act 2001, Semiconductors and Integrated Circuit Layout again was brought out in 2000, and the trade secrets, of course, there is no act as such to protect the trade secrets. The trade secrets are protected under the Contract Act of 1972. So these are all the acts which have been enacted by the Indian government, and these are all the duration of the rights what you get. Trademarks or designs, you will get 10 years, then thereafter you need to renew it, and I think some of the IPs can be only renewed for a certain period of time. After that, they go to the public domain. Anyone can use it. You will not have any exclusive right on those intellectual property rights. Basically, intellectual property rights, once you create an IP, you should go to the government agencies, and seek protection, register them. Then only it becomes a right. It becomes a IP to IP right, under the provisions of various acts enacted by the government. So, once IP has become an IPR, then you enjoy the monopolistic rights on such kind of a intellectual property. So each one has got a different durations, and each one has got a different fee structures, and there is a office for each type of IP registrations. For patents, you need to go to Indian Patent Office. Indian Patent Office has got 4 offices across the country. Similarly, the Trademark Office, Geographical Indications Office. So these among this intellectual property office, some of these offices are designated for this filing these intellectual property rights. So if you look at the knowledge economy, why we call it as a knowledge economy, the current economy is a knowledge economy. Why we call it as a knowledge economy? And if you see in the year 1970 to till today, in 1970s, if you value any company, the valuation of companies is what we say, which is very popular now, and we listen among the startup companies and industries. My company is valued so many billions. I am a unicorn. Unicorn means a company valued more than $1 billion is called a unicorn. So if you look at and analyze the value of a company of a $1 billion or a unicorn, and that is the current scenario. But if you look at 1970s and all, if you take any company for that matter, in that company around 83% of the company value used to lie in the fixed assets like the land, building, plant, machinery, the cash, inventory and all these things. But if you see today in 2000, the company value, if you analyze it, more than 90% of the company value lies in the intangible assets like patents, trademarks, design, copyrights, the know-hows. So there is a paradigm shift in the company valuation. Now the companies, have a value more than 90%, of their value comes from the intangible assets like patents, trademarks, designs. This is very, very, very important for all the faculty members or the academic institutions, to teach about the intellectual property rights to the students so that they will be at par with the global requirement. If you don't understand the value of intellectual property and if you don't understand the process of creating intellectual property and protecting it and commercializing, you will be left behind. So this is a very, very important aspect for all of you. And a scenario, just some example I have given here. If you have got a right or protection on your intellectual property, and if you don't get an intellectual property right on your knowledge what you have created, the scenario is depicted here. What happens if you are not protected, if you have not got rights on your intellectual property what you have created? What happens? The way the big fish eats the small fish eats the further small fish. That is the scenario. But if you have got a protection for your knowledge what you have created in the form of any of these intellectual property rights, so though you may be small, but you have got a powerful teeth. You can resist somebody catching you, somebody eating you unlawfully, because the right has given you that kind of a protection. So this is a simple scenario. Even if they may be a big company, they cannot copy your technology. They cannot enjoy the fruits of your hard work without your knowledge. If you come to know, always you can go to the court using the provisions made in the intellectual property laws and fight with them, and you will see every day so many cases being fought on the intellectual property right of copying. What our Calcutta wala said, somebody filed a suit against him saying that you copied my technology. But you have to go to the court and prove that you are not copied, your technology is different. Such kind of provisions are available, provided if you have all the knowledge and awareness about your technology. So IP and US economy, some statistics are available in the literature. And the US, they carried out a survey in the 2016 by USPTO. What they said is that, IP intensive industries supported 45 million high paid jobs. 30% of the US jobs are based on the patented technologies, and they contributed 6 trillion economy. 38% of GDP of USA has come from, the intellectual property protected products and services. This may be even now more. Without trade market, brand registration, even Amazon doesn't sell any of your product. So we all know that Amazon is one of the bigger e-marketplace. If you want to sell anything, that is thing. But they also do not sell your product unless your product or a service is protected in one form or the other form of intellectual property right. And startups, MSMEs earn 32% more revenue, or they get a premium, for IP-based products. If your product is protected under any one of these intellectual property rights, they get more revenue to the extent of up to 30%. IPs are truly intellectual currency, helping to promote economic growth, company competitiveness, and innovation gold. Another important concept some of you should know is that, technology readiness level. If you want to sell your technology, if you want to transfer your technology, if you want to commercialize your technology, industry expects that the technology should be at a readiness level of 6 and above, TRL 6 and above. Then only the industry would show interest. So what does it mean? So TRL 6 and above means some of the risks have been re-risked, or risk has been removed by scaling up of these technologies. So as Madam was asking, what is meant by proof of concept? Proof of concept is simply nothing but converting your idea into a product or a process or a service in a laboratory scale. That is equivalent to a proof of concept is called a TRL 3, Technology Readiness Level 3. Your idea has been reduced into a practice at a a smallest possible scale, that is what we call a proof of concept. No, you have proved that is A plus B, if you mix it under certain conditions, produce a product C. That is what you have done in a milligram level or a gram level in a laboratory scale. That is what we call a proof of concept. So if you want to file a patent, the proof of concept data is sufficient. But if you want to commercialize it, that may not be sufficient. You need to scale it up to a TRL 6 and above. Then only industry would be interested to buy the technology. So always there is a gap between the academic institutions' technology readiness level and the industry requirement of technology readiness level. So the gap between TRL 3 to TRL 6, what we call is a valley of death in the technology management literature. So if you want to overcome this valley of death, across the globe, the models have been tried and tested, or proven tools are the incubation. Basically the incubation concept or approach enhances the TRL level from 3 to 6. So what precisely happens in the incubation? Precisely what happens is the technology validation, in the lab, technology validation in the relevant environment, and technology demonstration at a size, at a reasonable size, at a pilot scale, that's what we call it. So these things basically happens in an incubation center. So that is why the incubation centers are now playing very, very important role in scaling up of your ideas. Andhra University is also, we are very fortunate to have an incubation center, but the potential entrepreneurs can make use of this incubation center. Basically, once you come to the incubation center, the incubation centers provides all the required support to you in terms of scaling up, the money required for scaling up, and testing that product in the real life conditions, getting all the approvals, preparing your business plan, getting access to the funding agencies, investors, markets, governments. So that is what the objective of an incubation center. So the incubation center has become very popular concept across the globe. It has been proven beyond its this thing. That is why most of, or almost every country uses the incubation model to scale up their primitive ideas or new ideas. So that is how they have become an advanced economies and startups, what you have seen in Purdue University as well. So in the entire process, if you can want to put it in a phased manner, the IP cycle, what we call. So IP creation, IP protection, and IP commercialization. That's what anybody who talks about IP talks around these three pathways only. So how do you create IP? By doing research, by identifying a problem. Like Mr. Calcutta identified a problem statement he got from the ministry, and he developed a solution. So that is how he created an IP there. So creation. Then protection. Protection means filing an application in the Indian Patent Office. Mr. Swami is here from the Novel Patent Service, who is also our patent agent for filing all our applications. He is going to talk about the processes, the challenges, what kind of information you need to provide to file a patent application. He is going to talk after lunch. Then, of course, the final stage is the commercialization. If you don't commercialize the technology, all our research goes into drain. So, whenever you choose a problem for a research to develop a solution, always keep that in mind, the commercialization aspect. Who is going to use my technology? What are his requirements? What is the demand? What is the supply? What are the barriers? So, and develop a solution, definitely it is going to be useful to the society. That's what most of us, what we do is, we adopt the technology push model rather than market pull model. So if you use the market pull model, so markets are willing to spend money and get a solution to solve the problem, and that kind of a technologies are easy to transfer successfully rather than technology push. That is what we call applied research. So if you want to get a patent, these are the three pillars. All the research scholars and faculty members should be aware. If you want to file a patent, what are the requirements? These are the three basic pillars if you want to get a patent. The patent office who grants the patents, they use these three pillars as a to validate your patent or your idea, your results are meeting this criteria or not. What is that? The first one is the novelty. Novelty means it should be first of its kind in the entire world. It It's not novel in your university or in your state or in your country. It should be novel across the globe. That is what we call absolute novelty. So whatever research you do, before starting a research work, you always better to do the literature search. The same way you should also do the patent search and understand what is the work has already been done in that given area. What are the gaps? And you identify those gaps and carry out your research. Definitely it will be novel. But most of the time what we do is, without doing any research on what has been done already, in the form of publications or in the form of patents, if you do it, it amounts to reinventing the wheel. You may not get a patent. So always I urge and recommend all the research scholars, do thorough literature survey and patent search. Most of you may not be knowing how to do the patent search. Come to us. We have a cell for intellectual property rights in Andhra University. We provide services to all the affiliated colleges as well as to our own university departments. You can come and we can guide you how to do the patent search, the simple patent search, through which you will know what has been done till that day on the given topic, and analyze them. Who has done what with reference to your problem, or studying all these things, you can also formulate a new problem. So this, based on this research or review, I found out these are the problems which have not been addressed. So I am formulating a problem to solve this. That way you can frame your problem. Obviously the results what you get will fulfill all these criteria. What is that novelty? Novelty means, as I told you, it is a global novelty. Even if there is a hairline difference compared to the existing knowledge, that is sufficient to qualify under the novelty parameter. You can always file an application. Am I right, Swami? Yes. Yeah. So he is a patent analyst. He does all these analysis for all of us day in and day out. Then the second criteria is that non-obviousness or inventive step. How the inventive step has been designed or defined by the global organizations or almost all the countries are that there should be a technical advancement in the invention or an economic benefit or both, and it should not be obvious to the man's or a person skilled in the art. These are the two conditions they look for in a patent application. So what do you mean by inventive? Inventive step means there should be a technical advancement. Compared to the existing knowledge, your process or a product should be different and there should be technical advancement. Technical advancement in the sense, I would like to give an example. See, you produced a paracetamol tablet using current knowledge is using, say for example, 5 steps. A plus B plus C plus D gives rise to E, a paracetamol. If you are able to come out with a 3-step process and a process which involves high temperature and high pressures are involved, and if you are able to reduce the temperature, if you are able to reduce the pressure, then it qualifies under the inventive step. And also if there is obviously if there are number of steps are reduced, cost also will be reduced. So if there is a technical advancement means an improvement in the process, or if you are able to reduce the cost, and it should not be obviously a person skilled in the art. If that is there, it fulfills the criteria of that inventive step. Third one is the industrial application. Whatever you have invented, it should be useful to the society and industry. So these are the 3 parameters. The patent examiner examines and gives, when he is examining, 90% of the cases the examiner gives a report saying that patent cannot be granted because such and such person has done the similar kind of work in Europe, America, or Japan, or China. Or such and such patent has been published, already granted. But seeing the keywords they will say it. But as an inventor, you should counter that. You should read that document what he has cited as a reference to not to give a patent to you. You should understand thoroughly, and as Calcutta Wala said, he has analyzed it and he has countered. The same way for the examiner also you have to give a similar kind of reply. And once he satisfies, he will grant the patent. If he is not satisfied, or partially if you are able to satisfy, he will ask you to amend the claims of your patent application, where already similar kind of results are available in the public domain, he will say that don't claim this benefit from your invention because already it has been done. So he claim only for which are novel features or which has got a technical advancement. Those features only he will suggest us to modify our patent application. Accordingly, one has to file. So these are the basic three fundamentals every researcher, every faculty member should remember.
Sir,
And apart from that, yeah.
Suppose the technique and process is same and only if we are reducing the cost, then can we?
Yeah, that is also possible. Yeah. Or both, that's what is either one of them or both. And I think Ashok and Anandya can also supplement. What Madam wanted is that if there is only cost saving, the process remains same. Can it be fulfill that criteria of inventive step?
Inventive step says that economic significance is also one of the criteria.
Yeah.
Be obvious to the person who is skilled in the art.
Skilled in the art.
So he is an imaginary person in the specific field.
Yeah.
It should not be obvious to the skilled in the art.
So that itself is a very complex definition. A person skilled in the art, I think we need to explain more detail. But for the time being, you remember that a person skilled in the art, for him it should not be obvious. You know. For example, simple example I would like to give. Here you have designed a bottle, the composition, everything, you got a patent. And you have added a holder to this bottle, you know. So that is what a person skilled in the art can also put a handle to this. So that is what it is called. A person, it should not be obvious to the person skilled in that art. Putting a handle to this is not an invention, it is not an inventive step. Yeah. Yeah. These are some of the examples given in the literature.
Am I audible?
Yeah, yeah.
So if it is only just a handle, then no need. But if I change the entire structure or the purpose for that particular bottle, so then can I be patented or not?
Yes, yes.
It can be patented. But for the look, it might look similar to the bottle only. So how about that one?
You see, the look is same means that is a design protection. As I told you, the physical appearance, shapes and all for design. If you go for a design, if it is equivalent to the same thing, you may not get a design registration for that. But for the patent is what? Process or a product, you know, or the product using a process for which you will get a patent if it is different from the existing knowledge.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
And if I have something to do, and you mentioned about the research part, so generally how much time will it take for the research part? Because most of the startups generally do is whatever they built, they just try to apply and go further and go to the business. That's what they do. But you, as you mentioned correctly, is like they need to be a research kind of a thing. So how much time generally it will take, and what are the databases that they check whether it is already existing or not? Can you enlighten on this?
You see, simple Google patents, if you do it, it will throw all the patents granted on the similar subject. Google patents, this is a free database. You don't have to pay any subscription fee for that.
I heard there is something else which has...
Yeah, there are many databases, a dozen databases, and each country has got its own database. It's again a free. So
I heard like Google doesn't have some patents.
Yeah, somehow, but to get a broad idea, it is sufficient. But that's what you need to use a paid databases where it gives you a lot of analytics and
so
lot of
generally, how much time will it take? The paid databases.
Paid databases are quite expensive. It costs you 25-30 lakhs also. You may not be able to afford.
Exactly.
If you come to us, we have agencies with whom
for
we
you only I'm asking.
For us, we have agreed rates. If he is a part of the university system, we do it free of cost for all our entrepreneurs and faculty members, research scholars. It generally takes around 2 weeks time. Am I right, Swami? Maximum. In 2 weeks time, we will give a report on your invention, whether it is patentable or not.
Agreed.
But before venturing into development of that kind of a product, you better do your this analysis on your own or utilizing the services of a patent attorneys. If you go to them with your idea and your features, they can do a preliminary research and tell you whether your idea has already been in practice elsewhere or not. That you yourself can do it. But only thing is, most of you, what you do is only literacy search you do it. but patents are more systematic, more scientific, and that is also counted when you go for a patent application. They will check both the papers as well as patents. If anywhere they find similar kind of research, they will say it is already in the public domain, they will raise objection.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah. So one more important thing is that before,
Can we commercialize before patenting it?
Yes, it's possible. And before patenting, okay, before patenting you can commercialize, but if someone else is also practicing same thing, or someone also can copy your invention, you will not get any protection. So for that, what you should do is, that's what I am going to talk, prior publication, prior claiming, prior public use, prior public knowledge. These are the three important things you should know as an entrepreneur. If similar kind of knowledge is already reported in the prior publications, both in the patents or in the things, you will not get patent. But you can do it, as long as you can sell, you can do it. But someone copies your technology, you will not be having any protection. You know, prior claiming, already if somebody claims, you will not get a patent. Prior
we can't charge a premium on it. Charge extra for the invention or the...
That depends on the market conditions. If someone is selling a product at 10 rupees and you cannot charge a premium and sell it in the market for say 12 rupees unless it justifies in terms of the features and other benefits, you know. So if you want to get a patent, what is important is that these 3-4 conditions you should keep it in mind. Prior publication is already published similar kind of knowledge, you will not get patent. Prior claiming, some patents they already claim such kind of a benefits. Then prior public use, prior public knowledge. So 1 or 2 examples I wanted to give it over here is that the haldi, you know, the turmeric patent, and the basmati rice, and the neem, you know, all these were granted patents in US. And you all know that turmeric and neem are in use since centuries in India, since ages, even more than 5,000 years, you know. And Dr. Mashelkar, the then DG of CSIR, who was heading the largest conglomerate of research organizations in our country, he filed a suit against them in the US court saying that neem and turmeric, which are used in India since ages, patent should not be granted. The patent what has been granted to them should be invoked on the knowledge of prior public knowledge. In India, we use this since thousands of years. So he has shown an evidence in various scriptures, various practices in different languages, you know, and he got it cancelled, those patents. You know, what are the consequences if their patents are granted? Whatever turmeric we are using for our wound healing in our day-to-day life, you need to pay royalty to those patent holders, because they got exclusive right. That right gives them to license it. If somebody uses or manufactures similar kind of product, they can be sued in the court, or they have to pay royalty on that product. So such is the implication of having the patent protection. So that is why he gave a mantra at that time, you know, patent, publish and prosper. No, otherwise you will be perished if you don't protect your knowledge. So how IP can help to progress or perish? I give 1 or 2 examples. Dan Brooklyn, you know, he lost millions of dollars because he did not file a patent for his spreadsheet program, what he has invented. Without a spreadsheet, I think no organization can survive. No? But those days when he invented that, though he could have got a patent in US, but he has not sought a protection for that. Kodak paid over $900 million for infringing Polaroid's instant camera patent. Knowingly or unknowingly, they have used their patented knowledge and came out with a product, and they went to the court. 900 millions means you can imagine 1 million is about 8 crores. How many thousands of crores? The court put a penalty on them for copying or infringing the others' patents. Licensing of just 3 patents earned $150 million for Stanford University. It's a very, very classic example for a technology licensing or a commercialization of IP. And somebody was asking, you know, whether someone can license the technology before it is granted, you know. It is possible, but this is the pathway for taking the idea to the market once you have an idea, you need to do whether your idea is your research invention is really fulfilling the criteria of patentability. Once you do that, you did a research and you evaluate it and you found out that it fulfills all the criteria, then you disclose that knowledge to the IPR cell or patent office or technology transfer office, whichever form it is there in our organization. So they will evaluate and take a decision whether it is patentable or not. And it's not necessary that all patent or invention disclosures need to be protected. Some of them can be kept as a know-how, some of them can be kept as a trade secret, and some of them can be protected and licensed. So one important thing in this pathway is that if you see the two parallel lines, patent filing, then after that only one should go to the market. Otherwise what happens? If you go to the market first and release your product or launch your product, then you file an application for a patent, what happens? This knowledge is already has come into the public domain. When you go for a patent filing, the examiner what he looks for? He looks for similar kind of technologies, knowledge available in the public domain or not, he will see. So your own disclosure to the society or putting the product in the market kills the novelty aspect of your patent. That is why don't go to the market or don't publish it or don't talk to anyone, don't even give a press release or don't put it in even a YouTube. All these things go against your novelty destroying elements. So first file your application. Even a provisional application will do. You don't have to file complete specification. File a provisional application, then you do all the marketing effort, put it in the public domain, talk to anyone, display, exhibit, you do whatever you want. Once you do that, you are able to protect your novelty, then you market it, then sign a licensing agreement and all. But it is not necessary that you should get a patent granted before commercialization. Once you file a patent, that is enough. So there will be some risks. So the investor is also taking risk, we are also taking a risk. At the end of the day, if you don't get a patent, so that's all, you don't get a patent. But as long as there is a trade secret or a know-how in that, based on which you can always manufacture a product, sell the product in the market, sustain as long as possible, and if the market forces are not in your favor, ultimately that has to be closed. But the patent protection is there, that gives you adequate buffer to sell in the market. So what is a patent? Patent, as we mentioned, it is a monopoly right. Government gives you that monopoly right on the knowledge what you have disclosed to the government. That right is for a period of 20 years. During the 20 years, you are the absolute owner of that knowledge or the technology. So it is granted by the government for the disclosure what you have made to the government. You have disclosed to the government. Unless you disclose, and the protection is given to the content what you have disclosed. If you have not disclosed some catalyst you have used in your process, if you have not disclosed it in your invention disclosure form and patent application, you will not get any protection for that. If somebody comes out with a patent for the same process using the same catalyst what you have used, you will not get any protection for your knowledge. So the disclosure is very, very important. However trivial it is, but it's better to mention that entire knowledge into your patent application. So whatever you disclose, for that only you will get protection. So the protection is given to the owner or his assignee. So what do you mean by assignee? Assignee means we are all employees of our organizations. For example, we are all faculty of Andhra University. I have invented something. But as per the rule across the globe, when your salaries are paid by the organization, whatever IP you create, the owner of that IP is the university or your paymaster. That is the thumb rule followed across the globe. So in case of Andhra University, whatever inventions you have made, the owner of the inventions is Andhra University. They are also called assignee. In the patent application, the term assignee is used. But as an inventor, you hold the entire knowledge, you are the inventor. You will be classified as an inventor, and the applicant or the assignee is the university. And it is for a limited period of 20 years. And it is called also negative right. Why it is called negative right? It prevents others to use this knowledge without your permission. Then it is a territorial right. It is also important for all of you to understand, once patent is granted in India, you get protection only in India. not in other countries. If you want to get protection in other countries, what you need to do? You need to file your application in those countries. In there again, if you have more than one country, there is a route called PCT route, which is very cost effective, Patent Cooperation Treaty. So under that route, if you file with a single application, you can secure protection of your invention across the different jurisdictions. And it is a right, it is also a statutory right as it is given by the government. So what are the rights you get once patent grant certificate is given to you? So it basically, as I told you, it prevents others from making, using, offering for sale, selling or importing infringing products in the country where the patent was granted. For example, if a patent is granted in India, you will get all these rights on your knowledge. Nobody will be allowed, for making that product, using that product, offering for sale, selling, or no one can even import. If a patent is granted in India for a certain product on your name, nobody will be able to even import that product without taking permission from you, or they should take license from you. Yeah.
So if I take a patent in India, so can it be infringed by someone from other countries?
Yes,
like US,
very much, very much.
and vice versa?
Yeah.
Does it happen like a cross-country infringement of patents?
Yes.
How to protect ourselves from that?
They can copy and use it, but they cannot file a patent on that, because when you go for a patent application, the patent examiner checks for the novelty across the globe. So by that time, anyway, you are already having a patent. This will be reflected in his search report.
They can't take patent.
He cannot patent, but as long as that is why wherever you feel that there are markets for your product, based on that you should file a patent application in those countries as well. That is the strategy basically most of the countries follow.
If it is already approved at one place, when we are filing in the different country, will the process be limited or it will take the same lengthy process?
It is a good question you raised. See, if you follow, I think Ashok, you better answer that. Mike thought of it. 31 months time will be available to you. Within 31 months, with this same application, you can file there. But I think being an attorney, you will be able to answer.
Yeah. There are two routes are available, PCT and Paris Convention.
Can you speak loud?
Yeah, I'm speaking loud.
Yeah.
So there are two routes are available, Paris and PCT Convention. Paris Convention, if it is like 2 or 3 countries, if you want to launch, if you think that the invention is potential in these 3 or 4 countries, you can go for Paris Convention. That 12 months window is available. Like you can draw the PRP in 12 months. If you file in a convention.
With the same application,
Paris
you can file.
Paris Convention, like it's a multilateral treaty, like which will be protected, like right to priority, independence of the patent, and all these things will be protected. That's the reason whoever the countries are members of the Paris Convention, these facilities will be available within 12 months. And coming to the PCT, it is like almost 153 countries are participating in the PCT, which is called Patent Cooperation Treaty. So, if you want to file more than 3 or 4 countries, it is manageable to file invention in different countries at the same time.
Same application?
That's the reason they have given an extra 12 months, more than 12 months. That means for India it is almost 31 months. Okay. So 31 minus 12 months extra we are giving. So we are getting. So during that time you can file the patent in other countries as well.
The same application what you have filed in India, yeah.
In whichever countries your invention is having potential, in those countries you can file and secure the priority date. As if you file in India, the same priority date you can secure there itself. Like your invention will be protected in all those countries as well. Within 31 months you can file.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And coming to the academia, why IPRs are important for academia? In all our rankings, not only in Indian rankings, even the global rankings also, patents have been given due consideration. In Indian NIR of rankings, 15 marks have been given to patents. 5 marks if you file a patent, 5 marks, or publish a patent, 5 marks. If it is granted, 10 marks weightage will be given. So total 15 marks. 10 marks if it is a granted patent. 5 marks if the patent application is published. So that is why large number of universities now are filing patent applications and they are publishing it and they are putting all their best efforts to get them granted. So that is why it's very, very important for all the academicians and the universities also to
give much weightage. And we have also analyzed the last year's previous one. You want to take a photograph?
Sir, I have a question. These days we see a lot of academicians publishing in Australian patent.
Yeah.
What is it about?
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
are Indians publishing in Australia?
Yeah, you can publish it as say after joining Andhra Institute only I came to know there are two types of patents. One is academic patents, the other one is industry patents. There is nothing like academic patents and industry patents. So what the academicians do is that since there is some weightage for filing patent applications, they identified some of the patent offices where the patent applications are published fast. Australia is one such patent office. Without examination, whatever you submit there, they publish it.
Yeah, that is called petty patents.
Petty patents.
Not only Australia, there are some countries like Turkey, Australia. So petty patents are there. Petty patents are nothing but there is no inventive step.
There is no inventive step, there is no examination. They will also write at the bottom of the certificate, this patent has not been examined. You know?
So, do they hold good for our NIRF rankings?
Yes.
But
now, yes.
Maybe someday they'll be different.
Yeah. We are evolving, you know, over a period of time, complaints goes, then they will remove. But as of now, patent publication is 5 marks weightage. So they are all considered under that, whether you publish in India or elsewhere. But honestly speaking, there is no value for those patent applications.
Now it is stopped in Australia. That is called innovative or petty patent.
Yeah.
There is no inventive step for that.
Yeah.
Is it very expensive?
Cheap, very
cheap. It has been stopped. It has been stopped. In some countries,
it is still there.
This is like fast track journals, fast track PhDs,
Yeah,
fast track patents.
China, it is there.
China is still there. Yeah. So the weightage is like this. This is the formula they use in the NIRF rankings, and we have also analyzed the last year's NIRF rankings with reference to patents filed by all the universities participated in that. It is very surprising to know only 3 institutions got 15 out of 15 marks in the patent. Obviously, there are IITs. 10 to 14 marks got 7 institutions. Mostly they are central universities and some IITs. 5 to 9 marks they got 24. 1 to 4 marks about 110, and less than 1 mark 92% of the institutions or the universities got less than 1 mark for the patent score. So this is a very pathetic scenario. There is a need for all of us to create awareness among the faculty members, research scholars, even the startups to contribute.
Which IITs got the top?
IIT Chennai, IIT Mumbai, IIT Delhi.
IC is a 10.
10 to 14, yeah.
When
So,
you mention about institutions, are we talking about engineering colleges or what are they?
yeah, whoever has contributed or participated for the NIRF rankings, there are about 1857 institutions have submitted their data, and this is the analysis. So this is a huge gap.
AU is 2.5. It's still
A long way to go. Earlier we were 0, but now we got at least made it beginning. So to address these gaps, AU authorities have brought out a IPR policy. Of course, studying a lot of policies across the globe in India. So AU IPR policy was approved on 25 October 2021 by the Academic Senate, and to implement and monitor this IPR policy, Center for Intellectual Property Right was created. Center for Intellectual Property Rights was created. It is functioning from the TDR hub or the computer center. As per the university IPR policy, CIPR, our center obtains the invention disclosure forms from the inventors and evaluate the invention disclosure forms for the patentability and files the patents in Intellectual Property Office through an approved patent agent or attorney and manage all the IPs. More or less the same policy being followed at Purdue University. We also follow the same concept here up to this point. AU filed during its last 2 years of existence of CIPR, around 130 patents we have filed, and about 6 patents were granted. 1 patent we have also commercialized. University bears all the patent filing cost as like Purdue University. Upfront, university bears all the cost, and also its maintenance and renewal fees. Everything will be borne by Andhra University. Yes.
We keep hearing about university pays now. So is it for alumni also? Alumni of the university?
As of now, you have to represent to the Vice Chancellor. Probably you can consider. As of now, only.
I'll put a different angle to that. Are you okay to have university as a
co-applicant? Then we are
then
ready.
Yes. If you say I'm going to file, but I've got nothing to the university, why do the university pay? Because the 70-30% expecting that later there are going to be revenues. So that's the reason why we invest early. So if you are okay with that, yeah, probably I can take it.
70 is for investors and 30 is for the university.
Yeah, 30% to the university.
Can non-alumni have this tie-up with the university?
Yeah, with AHA we will do it. Okay.
Yeah. Possible. Say, possibilities are enormous.
Yeah,
we need to work
I will enable it. If you say Andhra University can be a...
Yeah, but only thing is, Andhra University should be a co-applicant. That is the criteria. Okay, right. And CIPRS also helps the inventors to commercialize these patents. As I told you, during the last 2 years, we have commercialized one patent filed by Dr. Aparanji from our biochemistry department. We commercialized that patent to one of the startup company. So whatever money we get as a license fee or the royalty, we share 70:30. Unlike Purdue University, they share 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. But here, our policy, I would say, is much better than the Purdue University for the benefit of the inventors. We give 70%, of the revenue what we earned out of.
Will it be the same for IIMs also, sir?
Pardon me?
Will it be the same for IIMs?
See, the different universities have got different ratios. As Madam said in the morning, some institutions pay 60%, some institutions pay 33%, some institutions pay 70%, some institutions pay 50%. So in all institutions, there is no national policy on this, the sharing
But
pattern.
Andhra University is giving very high for the inventor.
Yeah,
It is
inventor.
benefiting 70%.
Yeah.
And 30% in that, again, further we divided 30% as well. In that 30%, whatever university will get, in that 50% will go to IP fund of the university, and 30% will go to the corresponding department, 10% will go to the overhead, and remaining 10% will go to the Center for Intellectual Property Rights. So it is in the lines of as Juliana said,
Only the percentages are
different. Like we are benefiting more to the inventor. That means researchers.
And also another important feature of our IPR policy is that if any inventor faculty wanted to start a startup based on his invention or based on his patent, the IPR policy says that the faculty can take a sabbatical leave. Sabbatical leave means without pay he gets the leave and he can start his company. If he is successful, he can resign. If he is not successful, he can come back and join the university. So that is also another provision is made in the university IPR policy. But so far no one, 3 years. 3 years. Yeah.
3 years.
Yeah. So if anyone, so far no one has come forward because just we are in the early stage of our learning curve. We are expecting that some faculty members will utilize this opportunity given by the university authorities. So these are the breakup of our patents what we have filed up to 2nd November when the NAC committee visited us. Up to that we compiled. The computer science and system engineering is the #1 department in our university, which filed 29 patents, followed by civil engineering, chemical, zoology, electrical, engineering chemistry, ECE, biochemistry, mechanical, pharmacy, instrumentation, geoengineering and psychology. So these are about 16 or 17 departments with whom we are interacting and helped them to file these patents. And computer science obviously is the highly creative, highly innovative, highly in demand, by the industry. And if you also see the industry practice also, IBM, which is a computer company, files large number of patents in the world. They file every year 10,000 patents. So this is our computer center is also in line with the global practices of the industry. So why IP is important for startups? I think I don't know how many startups are here. Can you please raise your hands? only 2. Very sad. There could have been more.
The reason we have
FTP.
we have now asked them not to come is because 174 faculty signed up and nobody turned up. So we said, please stay, we will do one more session for you.
Yeah, okay. But anyway, good. You are our ambassadors to spread this message, how IP helps the startups. You know, morning you have seen a case study of Mr. Kalkatawala, and if you see the primary benefit to the startup, if you have got IP protection, is that you will get the competitive advantage. Competitive advantage in the sense, if you are practicing a IP or patent protected technology, you know, no one can enter into that business because you are preventing others because you are holding a patented technology. If somebody enter into that market with the same technology, same features, you can always sue them. So that is what the competitive advantage in the marketplace. How long you will enjoy that competitive advantage in the marketplace? 20 years, substantial period. So what more you want as an entrepreneur than getting this kind of an advantage in the market? You know, the second benefit is that it establishes ownership on the technology. So IP protection is the only official way of getting recognition that you are the owner of the technology. Government of India gives a certificate, or wherever, in whichever country you get protection, that country's government gives a certificate saying that this patent is granted to you and you are the owner of the technology. So what a credit across the globe. I always salute to the patent holders. Getting patent is not that easy. Publishing a paper may be much easier than getting a patent. Unfortunately, our faculty members, they don't get any weightage like other places. There is no incentive for them except the revenue, whatever they make. But it should be given, due weightage should be given in their promotions as well. Getting a patent granted is not that easy. You are competing across the globe. Your invention has to be novel at the global level. You know, so that is why I salute all the patent holders for their achievements, and it is really a great achievement as a researcher, as a scholar, as a faculty member. So it establishes the ownership. You are the owner of the technology, and it improves the brand value of your product or a service, and also it improves your valuation of a business several folds. Even there are cases 100, 200, 300 times of your valuation can go up if you have got a very strong IP protection for your technology. Valuation means, you know, if you want to become a unicorn, valuation comes into picture. You know, investors invest in such kind of companies who have got strong IP because they are also getting protected their investment. You know, competition is less for them in the same product or the same service. So that is why valuation goes up, because investors get security for their investment because of the patented technology. So it attracts investors to make investments as it protects their investment interest. Act as a both defensive as well as offensive mechanism against infringements claims from others. As Kalkatawala was saying, somebody filed a suit against him saying that you have copied. No? But he has proved that by the time he has also filed a patent application, and once a patent is granted, that shows the credentials of the technology. It is novel and it is unique compared to the existing technology. So that way you get both ways protection, and it provides a new revenue streams in case you are not interested to practice that invention. You can also license it or franchise, or you can sell. You know, IP is must for exporting products to developed economies, particularly pharmaceutical industry. You know, if you don't have a patented technology, you cannot even export. So patent is so important if you want to expand globally, and it also increases your negotiating power, particularly when you do cross licensing or joint ventures. People who have got IPs, even the startups, also the founders, they ask for a higher share in the company share holding pattern because they came out with that invention. You know, so we have also seen more than 90% of the market capitalization of major companies lies in intangible assets like patents. We also know how important the IP played